Okay, it's processing. I should have done this before we started. Okay, there we go.
Into a 1517 podcast. Podcasts are great. You know what is even better than a podcast? Being with your favorite podcasters in person. 1517 does a lot of work putting out podcasts, but we also do events. I'm going to tell you about a couple of events that are coming up very soon that you could register for and attend. Trinity Lutheran in Delray Beach, Florida is hosting a 2-day multi-speaker event on February 20th and 21st. The theme is Out of Darkness and Into Christ. The speakers are Chad Bird, Scott Keith, Erica Sorensen, and others. That's February 20th and 21st. If you are in Florida or want to go to Florida in February, which who doesn't want to do that? Dallas, Texas. Join us March 13th and 14th for the Faith and Reason Conference. Through apologetic lectures, panel discussions, and live Q&A, we're going to examine how faith and reason work together in service of the gospel. Speakers include Scott Keith, Adam Francisco, Jacob Smith, and others. That's Dallas, Texas, March 13th and 14th, and the 2026 1517 Regional Conference in beautiful downtown Bentonville, Arkansas, May 1st and 2nd. This is going to be full of speakers, music, and fellowship. The theme is Baptized into Christ. The podcast pre-conference features 40 minutes in the Old Testament. Thank you, fellows. Tough text and outside ourselves. This is a big one. It's a lot of fun. Speakers include Daniel Price, Kelsey Kalora, Chad Bird, Scott Keith, Caleb Keith, Flame, and others. Ooh. You can go over to 1517.org, go to the events page, and you can register for all those events. And there's no guarantee that tickets will be there for a long time. So get over there, register for those events. We would love to see you there.
So there you go. 3 conferences in addition to the October conference.
Yeah.
Because
I want to go to Florida in February.
Florida in February. Out of darkness into Christ, into the light. That's a pretty good topic.
Good speakers, yeah.
Yep. Faith and reason, of course, is always a topic that we we intersect with all the time. I like how we're doing it now better than the old way. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and then a baptism conference, which who can argue with baptism? People do all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. So you'll see the links in the show notes, so people can go check out those, register. Why go to a conference rather than just listen to more podcasts?
Well, presence.
There's people. Yes.
There's people. It's about communion. It's about fellowship.
Anybody who's met either of us know that, you think you know somebody through listening to hours and hours every week from them. And you do in some way, but it's not quite the same.
The internet is persona, not presence. And I heard something interesting last night. It was a fascinating quote. I think it was actually by Schopenhauer. The masks we wear consume us.
Oh, I saw the same quote. That's interesting.
It's from Dark.
Oh, okay.
The show Dark. And I think it was the first episode of season 3. But anyways, persona is, and I talked about this last week on our myth episode from Lewis, persona is masks. It's taking on the personality of a mentor, a parent, a peer, someone that you want to be like, someone that influences you. And as we say, you can ride other people's horses for so long, but they'll never take you to your true destination. At some point, you have to ride your own horse. You have to sail your own boat. And meaning you have to take off the mask. You have to be yourself. You have to figure out who that person is. And that comes through mentorship and through study and being a student and so on, going on quests. And
how many masks do you wear, too? I mean, that's
right. And
it's like layers
of the onion. Internet and watching things remotely is persona, because you're seeing all of these things through a literal mask, which is your screen, which is the stream.
Well, and we're performing in a way.
Sure.
Like we have a particular way of speaking when we're here.
We are conditioned to look at a screen as entertainment, as something that we're passive and something's coming to us.
Right.
Versus presence is an encounter, a real encounter, a true encounter. So when you're out for a hike and you come around a corner on the trail and you encounter a squirrel or a raccoon or something like that, or a skunk, that's an encounter. That's presence. Or when you go to church on Sunday and you're shoulder to shoulder in the pew with other Christians, or you come up to communion and the pastor puts the wafer in your hand, that's presence. You're being encountered. And it's not passive, but rather there's something happening. And so when you're in person, there is presence, there is encounter, and there's change that's occurring, whether you're aware of it or not. You're being changed. Versus in persona, in passivity, in just viewing as an audience, there might be some change that happens, but it's something that you're internalizing. And something that I'm on right now is the romantic movement, which we've talked about on the show plenty of times. Romanticism, and I didn't really think about this until it was put to me. Romanticism is actually the roots of psychology, modern psychology and modern psychotherapy and psychoanalysis. Romanticism was the movement that internalized encounter. It internalized presence. So rather than I'm going to encounter you at a conference or a store at church on Sunday, we're going to internalize that encounter. And so even though I'm not with you, I can imagine what it would be like to be with you. I can even experience emotions about what it might be like to sit and have coffee with you in a coffee shop, but I'm not actually with you. So romanticism disconnects us from community. It disconnects us from physical presence. We saw a lot of romanticism in 2020 during the shutdown when people were out in the parking lot in their cars, listening to the pastor inside the church do the sermon or conduct the worship service or liturgy.
Right.
But there was a lot of internalizing and a lot of psychologizing.
Well, even the reception of the supper was like one-on-one.
Right.
In your car.
Right.
Or 6 feet apart from anyone else in church. Which
that's an atomization of
the
body.
symbolism of that was also like I couldn't abide by it.
It's a dissection of the body.
Yeah, exactly.
Physically, you're all in your individual vehicles. You're in a box, quite literally, cut off from everyone else. You can see them through the window, which is the same thing that's happening to us right now. I see you through the window of my camera. So you could be literally on the other side of the wall from me or be on the other side of the world. It's the same distance because I'm viewing you through a window.
Yeah.
And that window separates us. And what's interesting then within the Eastern teaching is that's what icons are. Icons are windows that connect us to heaven.
Right.
And so I can push my face against the window and they can push their face against their side of the window, but we can never actually be in each other's presence and encounter each other fully unless either the saints come back to earth or I go into the resurrection.
Yeah. And they're much more open or willing to say that happens.
Right.
Somebody comes, I think of Jesus' statement, unless somebody comes back from the dead, they'll never believe. Right. And yet
the Roman Catholics have it too, of course.
Yeah. And sometimes apparition or
but even the veneration of the saints, like I pointed out in Telegram, they're not worshiping the saints. They're simply acknowledging in Christ and the resurrection, the saints pray for us.
Mm-hmm. And also that the image of the saint is a reflection of the image of God.
Yeah, of course.
So
because they're in Christ.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Well, and we flatten all that out, and we don't. So come to church. That was kind of the long way around to that point.
And go to the conference in person.
And go to the conference in person. I don't go to conferences in person. Someday they'll maybe invite me again.
My favorite part about the conference in October is when someone comes up to me and says, "Can I give you a hug? I just want to give you a hug."
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because we listen to the podcast, and then again, you can't virtually hug me. It doesn't work.
But there is something communicated. I mean, they know, well, sometimes we're explicit about what we're going through personally, right, with our family or congregation or whatnot. So, and I think there is obviously a sympathy that can happen even through an oral word like this.
It's the human condition.
Yeah.
And so, when someone hugs you and they're bodily hugging you and you feel that warmth and that affection, then you're saying to yourself, oh, that's right. Now when I go back and record the podcast or I think no one's listening, well, he is.
Oh, so we need that too, that feedback.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Because that changes you. That encounter changed me to say, oh, someone is listening. It does matter. So when they say, keep doing what you're doing, I'm listening, you say, oh, that's not just an abstraction. It's not an email.
Are you saying your love language is words of affirmation?
Yes. You're a good boy. You deserve an A+. Yes.
You're like a puppy dog.
Here's a candy. Yeah. Just pet my head. Yes.
Just pet me ahead and give me a snack. Give me a treat.
Secret about pastors, we all secretly just want
It is true. It's probably true. That is probably the love language of pastors.
Yes.
Is affirmation. You could call it pride, but it's actually affirmation.
Well, and as we talked about last week, affirmation isn't blessing.
As in blessing. Yeah.
Something comes to you and is given to you and fills you up. It fills you full. It's Thanksgiving. Affirmations are like candy.
Right.
They're momentary, but they don't actually satisfy. They don't.
Yeah, I know. And we've talked about that. Like good sermon, pastor. Okay. In what way?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Good as in like godly, or good as in it was entertaining? Good as in I have nothing else to say?
I mean, if they're crying or something, then I'm like, okay, I understand.
Right.
You don't have to say more.
Yeah.
But if they're smiling, I guess, maybe. I don't know. So,
yeah, right.
I want more. I would like to know more what you mean by that.
Never smile at a crocodile.
Yeah. All right. So I'm running the show today.
You are.
Look at me.
I'm Ed McMahon.
I think this will be fun. We can go back and forth. We talked about it last week. This book, is it backwards on your screen?
Nope. Between God and Satan by Helmut Thielecke.
It's backwards on my screen, but it's not on yours. Okay. Helmut Thielecke. I'll read from the back. This was published in, we should say the year before we get too far along. It was $2 when it was published. Oh, that's nice. 1958. So the bio is going to be according to 1958. Helmut Thielecke, teacher, scholar, preacher, popular lecturer. Oh, so he's kind of a Lewis kind of person, right? Except in German. Was educated at the universities of Greifswald, Marburg, Erlangen, and Bonn. In 1940, after teaching in various schools, he was ordained a minister in the Evangelical Church of Germany, which I think we've talked about before. Mm-hmm. Probably Bonhoeffer, right? Or didn't Sasa come out of that too? Well,
he came. So.
Yeah. During the war, the Nazi government forbade him to speak in public because of his anti-Nazi sermons, and he therefore carried on his active resistance in other ways. It doesn't say how. After the war in 1945, he became professor of systematic theology and professor of religion at the University of Tübingen. Isn't that interesting how those go together? Mm-hmm. Philosophy and systematic theology. Anyway, in 1951, he was made the rector of that university, Tübingen. And later, he became president of the Council of German Rectors. I think a lot of people probably in our church body were influenced by him because we had so many that studied at Tübingen.
Right, after the war.
For doctorates.
Mm-hmm.
In 1954, he moved to the University of Hamburg, where he is, in 1958, the first dean of the theological faculty and professor of systematic theology. So he would be on TV. He'd give popular lectures on TV. And he was a preacher at St. Michaeliskirche in Hamburg.
Nice.
Yeah. I think he's probably best known in our circles for the ethics book. I think it's just called Christian Ethics.
I know him from Little Exercise for Young Theologians and his commentary on the Lord's Prayer. Those are the two that I'm.
Oh, I don't know those. Did we do? Did we do?
Yeah,
the
we
Young
did
Theologians?
Little Exercises. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a long time ago. I forgot about that.
Yep.
All right, so now it's time to come back to Thielicke. And this book, Between God and Satan, is on the 3 temptations, which is the gospel text for the first Sunday in Lent, coming up in what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? 3 weeks, right? We got the 3 Gesmas and then first Sunday in Lent. And I think the whole Christian church on earth pretty much on the first Sunday in Lent does the temptation. So pretty profound. There's 2 parts I want to read in it. We're not going to read the whole chapter, but we'll read the beginning of it to begin. Yeah. And so when I run it, I get to read then too? Is that the deal?
100%.
Okay. So you all get to hear my sonorous, what is it? Affluent voice? Oh, that's a different word. Effervescent.
Effervescent.
No, effluent. It's like running water.
Yeah, effluent with an E.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, the second temptation, the alluring miracle of display. Then the devil taketh him into the holy city, and placeth him upon the pinnacle of the temple, and saith unto him, If thou art the Son of God, throw thyself down. For it is written, He shall command his angels concerning thee, and they will carry thee in their hands, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Jesus said to him, Again it is written, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Right. So we usually talk about the word when it comes to this temptation, I think. Mm-hmm. The first temptation is for bread. The second is to disregard God's word. The third is for power, probably.
Satan does not tempt Jesus to be immoral. He tempts him to be reasonable.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that.
We
That's why this
may.
book came to mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So the honor of God and the integrity of his word. This will be the introduction. What the devil says is to all appearances very pious. He takes a further step based on the fact of God. For what is at stake now is not the honor of God's Son, but the honor of God himself. Quote, he shall command his angels concerning thee, Matthew 4:6. God's power will be respected, which means, according to the logic of the Tempter, that it will be allowed to work and must be given expression.
So before we even go any further to the point,
Yes.
the temptation is to make sense, be sensible, think this through, be rational.
Yeah.
Apply logic, and as you noted, logic from Logos,
Right.
who is Jesus, unless you take Jesus away, and then it's just use your thinky thing.
So it's even, in a very positive kind of sense, like hold God to his word.
Right.
That would make sense,
Be
wouldn't
reasonable.
it? Yeah, it would be a reasonable thing.
Which is interesting then, because when a church falls in, or a Christian falls into temptation and sin, it is to be reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Make it make sense.
Yeah. We used to say rational, but that doesn't mean anything probably for most people today.
No, not anymore, I don't think.
Mm.
But I think this is, I've been on this for a while now, is Christianity isn't sensible. It's weird. And you got to lean into the weirdness of it. Otherwise, because making sense of Christianity is trying to domesticate it.
Right.
It's
And
trying to tame it and make it presentable to a consumer.
I've been on this too for the last couple of sermons, in that we want God to be respectable.
Yeah.
Because we want to be respectable. We want people to respect us. And if we have a
fact.
wild and crazy God,
Yeah.
like that's not going to work.
Right.
It's
No.
not going to fly. Except for those who are like, this world is chaotic and I need a God who,
Right.
through mystery actually
Right.
brings understanding.
Right. Well, and this goes along, we can, I think, make this dovetail into, Satan as an angel of light.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were talking about in class was beauty that is persuasive is pornography, because there's no courtship, there's no deepening. Like true beauty, real beauty, godly beauty is, it invites you in, it courts you, and it
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
No, it's fine. And it invites a deepening of love through the courtship. That is, there's an encounter, there's presence, and then changes you, because you learn that love is much deeper and more mysterious than what you thought about love as a child, or even in relation to your own parents.
Yeah.
And for beauty, when it's false, it's persuasive. It's a commercial. We need to persuade you that this person or this product is beautiful and that you need to have it. You need to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So when a church is, and this ties into sensibility and logic, that is, when we try to appeal to people and persuade them to come to church, that's pornographic. We're not courting them. We're not attempting to woo them. We're not attempting to say, hey, we want to teach you a deeper love. We want you to be encountered by a deeper love. That's scary, actually, to your point, because when you first encounter someone and you say to yourself, well, I'm interested in this person and I want to get to know this person more, and I'm going to invite this person out for some, coffee, or to go to a movie or whatever, or for a walk.
Or even just to be a friend. It doesn't.
Or just to be a friend, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because friends are beautiful in the same sense.
Friendship is.
But you'll be changed by the experience, even against your will. You don't have to be persuaded to fall in love with somebody for it to be like, when you are, it's false. It's a lie, because love is.
Or when you have to persuade yourself to remain in love, right?
No, 100%. That's a great, any pastor who's done marriage counseling, where you realize one or both people at the table are trying to convince themselves to stay in the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So they're coming up with reasonable, logical things.
It's usually both ways, right? And somebody's trying to convince himself to be not in the marriage.
Right. And they're trying to appeal to reasonableness, make it make sense. Well, the marriage doesn't make sense anymore because of these reasons. Or it does make sense and it's worth saving because of these reasons. That's the devil. That's the devilish temptation, is make a mystery make sense.
I mean, you have this with any number of things where you just, you and I, we find it wonderfully freeing, and I think faithful Christians do, to just take God at his word, not in a challenging way.
It's
although
less painful.
I mean, we always ask why. We do ask
Right,
why,
of course.
but we seek understanding from the scripture, right? It's like, well, let me read the story that surrounds, or let me read the whole book. right? Because he makes this statement about women wearing head covering or something, right?
Yeah.
Which is like scandalous today.
Right.
You're like, well, what was he talking about?
Right.
And I'm not even talking about extra biblical stuff, which you can do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what's Corinth like and blah, blah, blah.
Well, symbolically, it goes back to covering your neighbor's nakedness.
Right. Yeah.
Which goes back to God covering himself and the angels covering themselves.
But the callous, reasonable person say, well, how's that different than a hijab or something? And you're like, okay. One, it's not covering the face, so you can talk about the symbolism of that.
Right.
We're talking about the hair, which is very different, and the crown of the head, and there's many things we could talk about there.
It's animal skins in the end. It's it's covering, it's camouflage, it's defense.
The reason I was laughing is because last year when we read through Proverbs, I just started in chapter 10, so we skipped all the father to son instruction, the first 9 chapters. This year I was like, oh, we can do it. It's fine. I mean, it's always about the wicked woman, but it's not always, but mostly. But what you said about being marketable or attractive, persuasive.
Yeah.
So here's how Solomon says it. He says, reproofs of instruction are the way of life, to keep you from the evil woman, from the flattering tongue of a seductress.
There it is.
Do not lust after her beauty in your heart, nor let her allure you with her eyelids.
Yeah.
Some say eyelashes, but it's, I mean, which we could work with that, but the eyelids, because they would paint the eyelids to be attractive. So then when you close the eyes, you would see the color and then be like, oh, like, and we know that's, I mean, because people still do eyeshadow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, or eyeshadow, is that what you put on the eyelids?
Yeah. Eyeshadow.
What's the stuff you put under? That's eyeshadow. What's on the eyelid? I don't know. I don't know my makeup. This is not my wheelhouse.
You're such a boy.
And and the women in my house don't wear makeup. So
that's fair.
Yeah. Because they would like their beauty to be known.
Eyeshadow and eyeliner.
Ooh, eyeliner.
Yeah, that's where they draw it on with the pencil.
Okay. Anyway, so you're that. For by means of a harlot, a man is reduced to a crust of bread, and an adulteress will prey upon his precious life.
Yeah.
So I think people know. I mean, the church turns into a harlot when they say, we need you to be a member of our church. They know that you just want to eat them. You want to devour them like widows' houses, right? With the Pharisees.
Yes.
You want their money, and you just need to stack the deck so you can make the economy of the thing work.
Courtship, not seduction. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Love and beauty and goodness tenderize the heart, as we say. That's what it does.
which is that the hammer with the little spikes on it?
Yes. 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 More, please. More. I'm in love.
It's a little painful.
As a parent, when you get to see your children start to fall in love with something, you're like, oh, yeah, this is gonna hurt.
Yeah.
I recognize that.
Yeah,
but
been there, done that.
It is interesting that it's one of the chivalric ways, which is don't practice cunning in love.
Cunning.
Don't practice cunning in love. And the saying goes, if you practice cunning in love, it's like a man like sneaking into a castle after dark, stepping on a branch, and the watchman catches you and puts you in jail. That's what ends up happening when you practice cunning in love, when you practice persuasive lovemaking, basically. There's no courtship. Like, well, I can't give myself to you unless you promise you'll marry me. I promise. And then, of course, once he gets what he wants,
I'm thinking of all the television examples.
Yeah, of course.
Where it's like we have to prove to ourselves that this is going to work by living together first, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's always that. And you're like, why?
Right.
You know, obviously being sexually active. And you're like, well, you're already married.
I listened to a divorce lawyer yesterday in an interview explain how all those Hallmark and rom-coms are pornography. Because they are. They're trying to persuade you of this is stylized, it's fantasy, and yet they're saying like, hey, this movie is how all relationships should go. And it's like, no, that's not how any relationship actually works. And you're like, yeah, like you have hardcore pornography, and then you have pornography that's presented to you as a rom-com or a Hallmark movie, but it's all the same at base. It's fantasy, it's hyper stylized, it's not true, and it's all persuasive. Believe this.
Or as he titled this chapter, The Alluring Miracle of Display.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, that makes sense to me. You hear this, I hear this all the time when I coach. You explain to somebody the technique and they go, that makes sense. I'm like, what? Is that?
We haven't even done it yet.
Yeah, you don't even know what you're doing. Like what? It makes sense, but that's all they can say.
I know it's just a thing we say.
Yeah, they're like, no, the way you explained it makes sense, and then they don't do it correctly because they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
But you're like, what? No, don't. It doesn't have to make sense. I know what I'm doing. Just do it. right? You become Moses on the mountain at that point. You're like, just do what I said. But no, I just want to point that out, that the temptations are Satan, the accuser, saying to the Son of God, make it make sense.
Yeah.
Right? God's word does say this.
Or even that it does make sense.
Yeah.
And to the point where you can...
it's so plain.
Well, to the point where you can use it to your advantage.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
It's the what and the how rather than the why.
So you can take advantage of this situation.
Yeah.
And rather than you be tempted by Satan, you're actually tempting God. Right? You're tempting, we'd say tempting fate, but yeah.
Right. Like in Psalm 91, which is the reference to the angels catching him.
Mm-hmm.
It's so plain. Right. It's not stylized. There's no mystery to the verse.
Well, and the context provides everything you need to know. It's like, when you quote a psalm, go read the rest of it.
Don't you believe? I mean, the psalm's so clear. Just throw yourself off the roof. The angels will catch you.
Which isn't really what the psalm's about. It's actually for this moment when you're being tempted.
Right.
That the angels are watching out for you and will provide you the...
Right. 1 + 1 = 2. Everyone knows that.
All right. Should we keep going?
Yeah.
All right. See, I don't know how to run this show. It's been so long that you've been running it.
How dare you say that?
Anyway.
Like I know what I'm doing.
The logic of the tempter, okay, will be allowed to work and must be given expression, quote unquote. But here it is not only of paramount importance that God himself is at stake, the God to whose honor the tempter seems to attach so much importance. He goes further and reinforces his question with God's own words. It is written, Psalm 91. Could more be done? Mm-hmm. So, why should Jesus not take him up? That would not, as in the case of the first question, contradict the promise. So the first promise with the bread. Mm-hmm. On the contrary, it would enable a tremendously impressive demonstration of God's promise to be given.
This is Ivan Karamazov. He's drawing directly from Dostoevsky. This is Ivan's whole argument for why he's an atheist.
Because he's tempting God, basically? Challenging him?
No, because the 3 things Jesus refuses are the 3 things that would actually cause all of us to follow him.
If he gave us bread.
Yeah.
Well,
and success and safety.
Yeah, but John 6, he gave them bread and they still didn't believe. As a matter of fact, it made it worse.
I
got you. Yeah. Oh, it is the thing we want. It's prosperity gospel, right?
Right.
Why should he not leap from one of the pinnacles of the temple? It's like Superman. Yeah. Why should he not say in the name of God to one of the mountains, quoting, be thou removed and cast thyself into the sea? Why should he not descend from the cross? Ad Maiorum Dei Gloriam.
Yeah.
Which means, I'm trying to the glory of God, to the greater glory of God. Yeah, there we go, greater memoriam. And yet, all of this is nothing but the devil's question. How does that come about? At this stage, you can tell he's German, and this is German translation. Mm-hmm. At this stage, we will not again refer to the fact that with all his pious gestures and his holy words, the devil only wants to gain the power of prescribing action.
There it is. Pastor,
tell me what
we need to do.
Yeah. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before we went live.
We were, exactly.
As far as giving prescriptions in a sermon.
Yes.
There's actually a famous preaching book, famous as in it came from one of our people recently, Telling People What to Think is what the name of the book is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Prescribe it. Instead of describe it, prescribe it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to have God's power at his disposal by appealing to God's ambition. This tactic has already been abandoned, or has at least undergone modification in his second question, even though secretly and insidiously its undertones remain. Oh, so one of the things Thielicke is doing here is the same thing as Screw Tape Letters. Then,
yeah,
he's unpacking the mechanics, if you like, or the mechanical of how the devil is operating. For our benefit. That's what Thielicke is seeking to do.
Adam asks in the live stream that I'm being much quieter than you. I don't think he means as far as my talking. I think he means my volume.
Your microphone. Yeah, we'll turn up your gain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just turn it up.
There we go. Is that better, Adam?
Remember we played with this for your audiobook, I guess.
We did, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you turn up your gain on your mic, turn down your headphone, you should be good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We're good.
I could turn on the volume leveling, but I hate it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Thanks, Adam. All right. In considering the second question, which is a kind of cunning and pious-seeming gamble with the power of God, we must remember a further point. There is no such God as this God of power.
Now, piety, by its definition, means discipline, a way of behavior. structured way of behavior.
Yeah, it's pious seeming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is appealing again to, well, the law, ultimately. That is...
God made this well, in this case, it's God made this promise. You can hold him to it.
Right.
Which we say all the time.
Right.
But is this the way that God gives his promise?
Think about sacramental piety, since that's closest to us. That is, the cup is central to my discipline, my way of behavior, my understanding of the Christian life, all of it.
Right.
How can the devil tempt us, though, to take the cup and turn it into a stumbling block or an offense to others? Well, it would be make it make sense.
Yeah.
Explain it in such a way that what's in the cup makes sense, and then explain what we're doing with the cup in a way that makes sense.
Well, I think Thielicke's driving in at another, I mean, that's true, but also even maybe another way of thinking about it is like, how can I make this meaningful or powerful for me? Like,
well, okay, so your point, right? We talked about this. When you say this is the one true meaning of this thing, you have frozen people's minds and hearts, because you've said it cannot be anything other than what I just said it is.
Well, you've narrowed its possibility.
And so rather than speaking for God in the sense of I'm an instrument of God's voice, you simply stand up and go, no, I am speaking for God because I am the pastor. So what I say is God.
Right.
That's how cults are started.
Well, but this is what God says to Moses. He says, "You will be God to Aaron."
Right. So, but he also says, "You are my mouth."
Yeah.
And
only
so
because you're speaking what I
not in the
you to
kind
speak.
of Feuerbach saying we're all gods.
Well, not in terms of
that we're all gods.
Yeah, not in terms of power,
now,
but in terms of word.
I think what you just quoted though is a perfect example of what's happening here, which is if you just take at face value what that verse where he literally says, "You will be God to Aaron." If you take that logically, then we are all gods when we speak in such a way like that, right? Versus, no, you got to read the whole thing where first he says, "You will be my mouth and you will say what I command you to say or else." And then he says, "Yeah, you're going to be God to Aaron because I'm speaking through you."
Right. Or you could bring in another scripture like the centurion, right? I say to one man, go do this, he does it. Right. So you can speak the word only, my servant will be healed.
Right.
And
you also have to understand messengers in the ancient world, which is when the messenger speaks, the king is speaking.
Well, like we were saying before we went live with the bard,
Yeah.
If the bard speaks, you take him at his word.
Right.
Because he has the power of vision, right? He can see what cannot be seen.
And so again, and this is interesting when he wrote this, of course, in the late 50s.
They've had a pretty big power trip that they went through.
Yeah.
We have some authoritarian dictators and
And so, but I think the central theme that I'm picking on anyways is that the danger always is, hey, make this make sense. Make it rational, domesticate it, tame it, make it appealing.
But I would say even make it powerful, which is a temptation of the preacher to believe that the efficaciousness of what he says is in his eloquence or in his structure or in his
energy,
delivery. Yeah.
As I said, I think I said to you, right, is that before when I used to preach, I'm standing there, I'm leaning forward. My voice has velocity. It's bouncing.
Well, that's what you did when you were here last summer.
Right.
And people knew it's like, whoa, this guy is like going to jump out of the pulpit.
Right. Whereas after everything that happened during Advent, now I sit when I preach and I'm calm and I'm quieter. And yet people say the same thing about the sermon, that it is powerful and that it is affecting. But
we call that like a quiet intensity or something?
Whatever. But it's just recognizing like, it's not me that's making it powerful. Like the word does it, not me. To your point.
Right.
And so when you get hung up on rhetoric and oratory or the aesthetics of it, or even just studying how to speak in public and how to project your voice in these things.
And making sense is helpful.
Well, it's good on the vocational side to take your craft serious, but recognize in spite of all of that, the word will either hit or not based on what the Holy Spirit's doing. Yeah. Not what you're doing.
It's not I who do these things, but Christ.
Because again, the danger, the temptation is if you don't do these things, then it won't be powerful. But the opposite is also true. Well, I don't need to do these things because the word will be powerful without me being a master of my craft or taking it serious.
Right. But so the craft is servant.
Yes.
to the Spirit,
Right.
and to His work. Yeah. But I mean, we try to flip that out and say, well, I have the power. Okay, there's a movie reference, a TV show reference.
Hey, new movie's coming out.
And it doesn't look terrible.
No, I don't. They're calling it Jared Leto's redemption arc.
I don't even know. Well, yeah, because he's completely in makeup. And
yes, exactly. He's buried under.
And he's the worst kind of demon figure ever.
That's fair. I mean,
so
he's
perfect.
He's playing to his strengths.
All right. Anyway, there is no such God as this God of power. He is an imaginary idol of men. For this God of power is a God of convenience. He has the power, and we use him or do without him, just as here the devil deals in his own way with this God, or would like to do so. So this is also, he says, the God of convenience. I would say the God of consumerism.
Which is this isn't even a pagan God.
No.
Like the pagans would reject this.
Like,
pagans feared their God.
Because he's like the divine vending machine God, right?
100%.
I use him when I want him.
Even the pagans would say this is not a person. This is not a worthy God.
He's the hammer that's in the drawer for when I have to hit a nail.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the worshipers of this God of power. We want to read
again.
This
is C.S. Lewis's Christmas message to pagans, of like, yeah, this is the post-Christians who are actually Christians. Many of them, they're post-Christian because they don't believe any of this is true.
Yeah, they're post-Christian and they're post-pagan.
They're
post everything.
And so it's all theory, it's all abstract, it's all the mind and internalizing everything, and then you asking as an individual, what does this mean to me? What is the value of this to me, etc.?
How can I use it?
How can I use it for my benefit?
We come along and say, God is going to do something to you, whether you like it or not.
Right.
He's going to, because he's saying words that you don't necessarily want to hear. But
I would say from experience, based on experience in my ministry, what qualifies as piety nowadays is simply the customer is always right.
Yeah. Well, or the famous customer is always right verse, be all things to all people.
Yeah, right. Let my opinion come out of your mouth.
But we always leave out the next part, or at least when it's quoted, that I might, does he say convert? Is it convert? That I might win over some, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm all things to all people, but I know that the success of that is not, it's
I
not universally
some
successful.
for the kingdom.
Yeah, some are one. Yeah.
Not all. Some.
Well, because that would be Paul claiming the kind of authority that the devil is tempting Jesus with here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can use the word for your purposes to accomplish what you want it to do. Right. In this case, you want to jump off a temple and see what happens. Right. So it's not just tempting God, but it's trying to use God.
Right.
All right. So we see that at once why this is so. When we contemplate the worshipers of the God of power, they are the fools who say in their heart, there is as good as no God. There is only a God of power. Psalm 14. Really? Is that Psalm 14? And 53. Well, we know Psalm 53. Who does not know these worshipers? Who has not talked to them? At what bar, at what party, at what mass meeting can one not hear them? I mean, this is all the discussion about federal government and their role, right?
Well, it's also pastor preach to the culture so that we know that God's in control.
Right, but what I was saying was like, do they have the power to do these things? And I'm like, well, one, do they have the authority? Yes, we've authorized them. Two, you don't like these. What's the album name? Something displays of power.
Vulgar display of power.
Vulgar display of power. Right. I mean, that's what it is. Because it's like, despite the authorization, you're not using it in
It seems like our God is kind of impassive. He's just kind of sitting up there watching.
It does, right. So when you go to the divine, you're like, who's in charge here?
Right.
I mean, is God allowing?
Yeah, theodicy, right? God's on trial.
Right. And so this is why we read the histories of the kings, for example, would be a good thing to read, and the Chronicles, and you're like, or the time in exile, especially, like, yeah, Nebuchadnezzar, Cyrus, look at what he did with them. Do you think that was pleasant?
Right.
Was it, or with the pharaohs? I mean, none of this is, or even with the Judean kings. Never mind the Israeli kings, the northern kings, right? Like Ahab. Like, no, this is how God works through history.
Yeah.
And you are powerless, mostly, ever, to do anything about it. My democracy, whatever that means.
Right.
You don't. Yeah. This is outside of you.
Right.
And
Well,
what God's accomplishing is hidden, right? So you don't even you won't even, maybe you'll know after the fact if you happen to live through and to see the end of it, but maybe not.
This is what we were talking about, is that, the old Adam is essentially feral. That is, he is full of bloodlust, but he doesn't want the wildness of, well, there's discipline and you kill to eat. You don't kill for the love of killing.
Right.
That wild animals have rules. There's discipline. There's order and structure to the pack, to the herd. Feral animals like the tiger or the puma, they kill to kill. And you can't tame those predators. And you can't live with them either. And so what ends up happening is God is wild because he is a God of order and a God of discipline and says this is the way it is. And we as feral beasts, so to speak, in sin say, yeah, it's good to have fence lines and order and rule. We don't want to, eat each other until it comes time to forgive our neighbor. And then we say, well, I mean, we can cannibalize her. I mean, do we really need her?
Right.
We're feral. And this is why God is so unacceptable to us, because it's not that he's not sensible. It's that he is and we're not. But the projection is always, why can't you be more like us? Why can't you be more of the God that we need you to be for us?
So in this story, then it's why can't Jesus behave more like Satan?
Yeah,
I mean that's what Satan's tempting him to, is to be
100%.
like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pastor, why can't you be a Pharisee? That's what we want.
Why? And that's the great parallel, because Satan is a skilled practitioner of the misuse of God's word.
Right.
Just like the Pharisees. Right. And so they have all the pretension of godliness, being angel of light, like you said, without the actual faithfulness.
Right.
No. That's heavy stuff. So it is. Oh, we don't need a script. Why did I click script? We don't have a script. Do you have a script?
None that I've
prepared. I have to push all the right buttons on this side. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Where did we leave off? There's plenty of fodder here. Okay, we'll just start. They say that their God of power looks down with scorn and irony upon the intimate relation in which the little people and the failures of this world think that they stand to their personal God, who has converse with men as servants, as children, as friends, as sons. But are this God of power and his friends, that's the translation's weird, not very much to be suspected? The exalted nature of this God of power assumes all too easily such gigantic proportions that he is also too exalted to concern himself with our private life. Right?
God is God and you are not.
Right. So the God of power can't number the hairs on your head.
Right.
Why would he ever even care?
Thor is busy fighting frost giants.
Or as Elijah said about Baal, maybe he's off relieving himself in the wilderness.
Right.
Yeah, he's got better things to work on, like taking a dump. He cares nothing for I'm sorry, I got right ahead of him. For sparrows, hares, lilies, or the thoughts of our hearts, our secret or open rebellion. He cares nothing for will or deed or any other of the multitude of things which must remain hidden from the light of day. Certainly he is not asleep, nor does he go for walks, nor write poetry, but he is exalted.
1 Kings 18, there you go.
Yeah, and we want that because if he's too near, as I preached on Wednesday, that's when things get uncomfortable.
Right. Why do you have to be in the center of the camp?
Why can't
you be like the other gods?
Why do you have to take residence in my heart?
Ugh, gross.
Well, one, that's defiling, to the old Adam.
Yeah.
It's like the holiness of God can't abide with the with the flesh. But even if he's next to you or in front of you, you're going to fall on your face in fear, like the disciples, right, on the mountain. Like, it's just too close. It's too personal. It's why would God dare to speak? We've had this with preaching, right? How dare he say anything about me or about this church or about this community or about, the thing that was said right before church or whatever, right? Like, because that's well, it is close. It's too close. It's too personal. It's too intimate.
Where you see this played out in pop culture? Sports. I just want to thank Jesus for giving us the victory today. So we couldn't have won the Super Bowl without God.
It's not that he threw the ball. I know that.
It's that God is the God of power and the more powerful team won.
Oh, that's why the exalting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Because as every atheist asks, oh, so God hates the other team? That's why they lost?
We've seen this, though, sometimes with like a hard-fought game. It's usually more like high school football or something,
Sure.
where the teams will pray together afterwards.
Yeah, right.
And that's, I mean, it's piety or it's humility, maybe.
Well, it's more emblematic of the truth, which is that you pray to God for what? Strength. No one gets hurt.
But you also pray for the weak.
Yeah, exactly. You don't pray for we want victory, Lord, give us victory, versus.
We shouldn't thank God for the victory. We should pray
God
for the losers.
Well, that too, yeah. Pray for the
You sometimes see that with injury.
Yeah.
They'll huddle around.
In Christian terms, the loser of the game actually won.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean.
Jesus loses and wins through losing.
So we should not celebrate the losers, but pray for them.
Well, we should actually exalt the losers to say, like, they learned humility, they learned charity through loss. They learned, versus what did the victors learn?
Okay, my favorite college basketball team has lost 3 in a row, despite having been single-digit.
So they're very Christ-like then.
So they keep losing, and the social media on them,
oh sure,
like they just
fire
pile.
The coach, the players suck.
Yeah, and it's true that they haven't performed and they have been slack in their effort, and I mean these things are all true.
Okay, they're also 19,
20. Yeah,
they're boys.
Right.
Like, calm down. They're children.
Well, they have beards, so they must be kind of manly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Some of them have beards. And I look at that and I'm like, okay, they lost 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you expect more from them. Okay.
Of course.
But are you,
They're totemic. That's what they are. They're fetishes.
So if they win, I win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's just this God of power stuff.
Yeah. They're a golden calf. I can't communicate with my God without my mediator, which is the screen, the window that I'm looking through at this performance that's taking place in front of me. Yeah, it's all totemic. It's a fetish.
So we exalt others because in them, then we can be exalted.
Correct. Yeah, that's why you spend $250 on a shirt that cost $2 to make.
Or $400 for a regular game, regular season game.
Yeah. This is the mimetic action.
It's
by
sacrificial.
Participating in it,
Yeah.
even if I'm voyeuristic, even if I'm a passive viewer.
Well, no, I'm going to scream and yell and
remember
cheer
what Augustine said. If I witness the sacrament being I get the blessing. I don't even have to eat it to receive the blessing of the sacrament. I just have to witness it. Wow. Think of remote viewing and seances. This is what we're doing right now on this podcast. We are remote viewing each other. We're literally channeling in that kind of Victorian sense of the word. That's what you're doing when you're viewing things through your TV. You're channeling. You're communicating with other dimensions and other things.
Ooh.
We call it ideology and the message and whatever, but no, you're channeling. You're having a seance when you watch TV or when you're on your phone.
Right.
And it's so powerful that it literally can drive people to suicide.
Yeah.
It all goes back to this.
Hmm.
We just swapped out the golden calf and the treasures of Egypt for a phone.
Well, I mean, it is true. If you're going to worship the God of power,
Mm-hmm.
you're back to that.
Right.
Either despair because he lets you
Right.
down.
Well, one, powerful gods don't lose, but ultimately powerful gods don't have to die because they always defeat the dragon.
They don't lose. They can't lose.
They can't. Otherwise, they're not worthy of worship.
There's no power.
They're the old gods that are defeated by the new God that's more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, in the history of Israel, when they win, their God's the strongest. Look at Nebuchadnezzar. He doesn't deny the pantheon of gods. He just points out that Israel's is the most powerful God.
Which I always laugh at that because we do say it in the creed, Lord of Lords,
Yeah.
God of gods.
Yeah.
And you're like, do you understand the implication of what you're saying there?
Likewise, when Israel's God loses, what happens? They're drug off into slavery and they're made to worship the other God or gods.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they're the most powerful.
Made to worship or?
Well, I would say this. The first generation is made to worship them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, not even all of them, though, because again, usually they're drug off into slavery because they've been worshiping that God. And then Yahweh goes, well, if you want it, have it.
Yeah.
And then they're sacrificed. And they're like, wait, I thought we were equal.
I mean, one of the most incredible moments for me, I've mentioned this before, is when they're in the wilderness wandering and you find out that they still have Abraham's gods from Chaldea.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How did you get them all the way from the Chaldeans? We know that part of the story. Sarah sits
Right.
on them and all that, right?
Well, Rachel.
Rachel, I'm sorry, Rachel sits on the old gods, but then you still held on to them, and you kept them into
all through
Egypt,
slavery
and then,
for hundreds of years.
And 400 years later, you still.
Yeah. Hey, this is my great grandfather's watch. You want to see it?
I guess. I don't know. It's amazing. Yeah. So these gods are always going to hold on, and that's the other point here. I mean, Jesus being tempted with this god, this false god, or to be this false god, even. It's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Yeah. So the god of power. Power is always at the background.
I think we prefer the Jesus of the temple when he's kicking over tables and whipping people.
Yeah. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Like, do that.
Yeah.
To them, not me. Them.
Yeah. This is Gandhi too.
Yeah. There you go. Yep. Yeah.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
That's right.
Yeah. Sorry. What else can explain the fact that these worshippers of the god of power draw so amazingly few, in fact, none at all, inferences from their god? Well, he's going to answer. How is it that no one notices, scrolling over here, so little of him in their lives? How does it come about that with all his power, he is so small a force, so slight a factor in the gray of their everyday life? We've been talking about this. How comes it that he is only mentioned at their festivals and in moods of emotion, real or fictitious, to provide the celestial setting and the golden background, the religious magic for their mood? That's a good line. Up there, above the canopy of the stars, must dwell a beloved Father. Right? Somebody must have said that because he quotes it. How comes it that he only exists to countersign as providence what men have already signed and sealed, and now would like to see sanctioned? Yep. This is already what we want, and you're just going to endorse
our... It's the famous Lincoln quote, not to say that God was on our side, but rather to ask, are we on his side? So, all we care about is God on my side? Well, how do you prove that in actuality? Well, victory.
Yeah.
Success.
He gives us what we wanted.
Bread.
Right. Yeah. Signed and sealed. Countersigned.
We talked about this when we were reading Live Not by Lies, the famous saying of the Soviets, at least we have bread and hot water. Right? It's like, well, yeah, you have bread because it's made out of sawdust, primarily. And you have hot water because you're burning newspapers to make a fire.
Yeah.
But at least we have bread and hot water.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very fatalistic view dressed up as optimism, as hope.
Well, it's hope without a promise, which is the key.
Right.
But I'm really struck by this, what he said earlier, where he said you could turn the promise into an act of power.
Oh, for sure. I was literally just reading that for the audiobook for Withertongue. That is, convince the young pastor of that very fact.
Yeah. I mean, this is how we use the resurrection, though. It's like, well, it's not just the hope of the resurrection, but I can do what I want because I'm going to be raised from the dead anyway.
Right.
Like, oh, well, that's not taking the promise for what it is.
Convince the young pastor to preach if then this from the pulpit. If you, then this. This is the exercise of power. Application sermons are exercise your power. We call it free will, of course, or choice. Right. But it really is an exercise of power. It's Nietzsche's will to power. This is why Nietzsche says, I cannot believe in the New Testament God because he's pitiful.
Yeah. What? Meaning he doesn't listen to me?
Well, no. The Old Testament God's real.
Yeah.
Nietzsche says this, I worship the Old Testament God. That's a real God. Like, human beings can relate to the Old Testament God. I can't relate to this Jewish carpenter because he's pitiful. He gets spit on. He's appealing to pitiful people. He's essentially convinced people. He's made an entire religion around being a victim, he says.
Yeah. But he's the epitome of Israel.
Yeah.
Not of God the Father, but of Israel.
Well, you know, the Germans and nationalism and stuff was starting to bubble up. And
well, they do have the fatherhood whole thing, right?
Yeah.
The fatherhood of man or something like that. Or the brotherhood of man, the fatherhood of God. Yeah. Something like that.
But no, it's all wrapped up in, and you and I have talked about this. I'm an Old Testament guy because when I read the Old Testament, I'm like, oh, I know that guy. I know her. Well, I relate to this. I read, when I was, especially as a new convert, reading the New Testament, I was just baffled. I'm like, I don't understand any of these people or what's going on. Then I read Judges, you're like, oh no, I grew up with these people. I know exactly what's happening.
I mean, culturally, we probably more represent the old world now than we did the Greek world.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Greek world, like Paul says, even the pagans don't do that, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are standards in the Greek world. Now we don't. What's the joke? It's a song quote.
Well, that's the Renaissance and the humanists, right? Is let's learn Latin and Greek so we can bring back classic Greek and Roman society. That's really the foundation that we want to strive toward.
Right, because it did establish like moral norms and
yeah, of course, and
cultural,
beauty and
cultural,
everything.
beautiful. Yeah. What's good, true, beautiful, and true.
Versus now, ad fontes. No, who cares? There is no authority except my truth.
Not even the scripture.
There's scripture. Yeah,
Ten
there's my
Commandments,
scripture.
something. I don't know.
It's called my heart. It's called what I think. That's scripture.
Oh, you mean the law written on your heart? No,
No,
not that. No, I scribbled over that.
No,
Don't
we're
worry.
feral.
Yeah.
We're feral creatures. Why do you eat? To eat. Why do you have sex? To have sex. You're just in rut all the time. For no reason, not to procreate, not to deepen love, not to say, Lord, please give me the gift of fatherhood or motherhood.
A man's got needs.
No, I'm just in rut all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
The 7 deadly sins, if you look at them, you're like, oh, look, all the virtues of postmodernity are laid out by the medieval scholars.
Right.
And they're like, these are bad. And we're like, no, they're awesome.
Yeah. And the
Gluttony,
habitual character of them too.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because we've destroyed the hierarchy. So gluttony, no, body positivity, man. Stop shaming people. It's like, well, how does this benefit society? How does this benefit the tribe? Well, no, there's no tribe. There's me.
Mm-hmm.
And all the alchemical magic that occurs around me 24/7.
Yeah, I added my peptide mix.
There you go. Exactly,
No,
right?
I did not.
Yeah.
It's like that's mad scientist stuff.
Right.
I'm not doing that. All right, so where were we? Let's see, providence. Yeah, providence is the flip side of the God of power, right?
Yeah.
As long as he gives me what I want, then he is powerful.
Well, literally, the word provide is inside providence.
You're right, exactly.
Yeah.
How is it that his approval is only sought after the event and then loudly proclaimed? His approval is sought for what is already fait accompli, and therefore cannot be undone by him. Ooh. His approval, in short, is sought for something which man, in spite of all his pious gestures, has maneuvered according to his own soul judgment, and with which he will brook no interference, least of all from an authority beyond his control.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's really well said.
Yes. Hello,
Yeah.
modernity.
Yeah. And this is 1958. How comes it that in the religious sphere, quote unquote, the more exalted God is, the less supervision he exercises over his worshipers?
Here it is.
And the litany inherent in his cult is continual, let me alone.
Freedom, freedom, freedom. Time plus choice.
So
equals
keeping
freedom.
God distant, I mean, and this is why
This is
the Lord-
Paulson's whole thesis.
yeah, the Lord be with you, or for you for the forgiveness of sins, take and eat, take and drink. I mean, you're talking about very intimate, personal, and communal as well, corporate. But it's both. But it's present, and we talk about real presence, and I never like that term.
Yeah.
Maybe just because I have a what do you want to say?
Reformed.
A reformed bias, yes,
abstract.
anti-reformed bias. It is a little abstract. It's like, well, present how, right? Well, this is his word, so he's speaking, and how offensive that is to people for you to say that, right? This is the word of the Lord that came to me, right? You're like, oh, so you're saying that you're speaking not just for God, but with God, or in God speaking in you or through you,
Right.
Yeah. So he's here.
It was highly offensive to the church ladies at Bible class when I first got here, when I would say that, well, no one cares what it means. What does it say? Because, of course, they said to me, one, well, what are we going to read in Bible class? And I said, well, the Bible. Okay, but what helps or stuff? I'm like, no, just the Bible. We don't need to read a commentary on the Bible because the Bible is a commentary on itself.
The commentary is the abstracting later.
Right. Again, the New Testament is a commentary on scriptures.
Sure.
And two, I don't care what you think it means. What does it say? Then we can talk about what it means, not what you think it means. Because as my New Testament prof on John in Revelation said, as soon as you look up from the text, you're going to start to make up theories about the text. That's what sinners do. Rather, simply ask, what does the text say? And what was remarkable to me is when I would ask that, they would stare at me blankly. And the question I asked was the question that the text itself asked. So I wasn't going from John chapter 6, verse 1 and saying, what do you think this means? Or what does the text say abstractly? I'm saying the question is literally, what did he just say? What did he just write?
Yeah.
And they had been taught their whole life to just talk about what they thought it meant. So when I asked the question and then would reiterate.
So that's the God of power stuff. I mean, you're imposing your will upon the scripture.
Because I'm saying my question is just read the verse out loud. That's the answer. And they still couldn't do it. It was remarkable to me as a person, let alone as a pastor, to look at them, look at the sentence, look back at them and go, how do you not understand? The sentence tells us what he means.
I mean, this happens even with children, maybe less so with some homeschool children, but definitely the.
And I say the same thing to the children. How do you not understand what I mean?
Well, look, I'll ask my catechesis, very basic questions. Is like, where was Jacob sacrificing?
Right.
And they're like, oh, I don't know, Israel or something. I'm like, no, it's right here, verse 1.
Right. Yes.
Verse 1.
Right.
Where is he?
He's got electrolytes in it.
He's in Beersheba.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what I want to hear from you. I want you to be able to, and how you can't even read for comprehension.
Right.
You know, we used to get standardized testing on this sort of thing, but I don't know what they do today, because it's like there's no like, they'll just look down at the words
and say them.
And what does God say? Beersheba. Okay, where is he going? Egypt. It says it right there. You don't have to guess. You can just read it, right? And I need, that's like surface level. But because you can't do that, then if you're going to do what the old ladies are doing, it's like, well, what does it mean? Well, you didn't even read what it says.
Right.
So how are you ever going to even possibly understand what it means? Like, the number matters. If it says 70, okay, we can talk about what 70 symbolizes, but I need to know the number.
Right.
Like, so that's a frustration, but.
Well, and to turn the gun on ourselves.
Yes.
What ends up happening as a consequence is that the Lord humbles you through the losers. You're like, you guys are losers. You don't even understand the basics of grammar.
And it's my fault.
And it's my fault. Yes. It's my fault.
It's actually my responsibility.
I know you weren't taught this. I know it only comes through the revelation of the Spirit.
Right.
And I'm sitting here going, why are you so dumb? Like, how do you not know this? And then a year later, you come back to the text and you as a pastor say, so the Lord has opened my eyes to see this text again. And it turns out that I may not have understood it either. I thought I did.
Right.
The one true meaning, which is you as an old Adam saying, how do I gain control over the text? Because if I have control over the text, I have control over you. And just like as a parent, I need control over my children because it scares me that they may do something that I don't have control over. They might get hurt. I don't want to get hurt by my congregation.
That doesn't mean you don't warn them, but
yeah, of course.
But
it's recognizing at root, if the church hurts me, that's a sign then that God isn't protecting me. He's not providing for me. So if I can control the people in my church, de facto, I control God.
His actions or his.
Well, again, after the fact, I can say, look how well behaved my church is toward me. Versus why? Well, because you've shut them down constantly.
Because their actions are a consequence of God's handling of them.
You belittling them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if that's true, guess what? God must bless my ministry. Look how well behaved we all are. Versus, why is your child still screaming during my sermon? Don't you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Right? Why are you getting up and leaving right in the middle of worship? Why are you saying, Pastor, why did it go long today? Like, how dare you ask such impious questions? Versus, have you read the Bible? Have you just looked at society and went, weird. Seems to be a pattern here.
I mean, just like I said, you're in the wilderness. How did the people handle Moses?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine.
And how did Moses handle the people?
Ugh.
Yeah, just kill me.
Yeah, it's pretty much not good all the way around.
Preferable.
Yeah. We could just end this now.
The ricochet, yeah.
All right, where were we? Dun, 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 dun.
How come?
I know. I have to keep putting it on the screen. I'm doing two jobs at once. Okay, how comes it that the worshipers of the God of power can always think that their God has to do with the beyond while their task is to shape this world? They know that one bird of this world is in the hand better than the two birds of the beyond in the bush. There
it is.
I didn't know that was a German expression. Well,
that's great.
Oh, yes. The worshippers of the God of power understand something of the realities of this world. They reckon with God, they switch him on and off and liquidate him. They allow him to react with religious complexes, which otherwise would become dangerous explosive material.
Soylent Green is made of people.
Yeah. Parentheses. Is it not the repeated experience of history that apart from the belly question, nothing whips history forward like the religious question?
Well, isn't that the current situation? everything wrong with the world is religion's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically Christianity,
Yeah.
of course.
So, and the order of the temptations he's referring to here, I mean,
Right.
a lot of our temptation does start with our belly.
Mm-hmm.
But the next thing in line is the religious question. These worshippers mix their god of power with opium.
Yummy.
Oh, so it's
My favorite god.
Well, it's the
Quite literally, my favorite god is opium. So
the opiate of the masses, right?
no, my actual
No,
literal
I
physical
understand.
addiction is to opium.
I'm changing the subject. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. It is indeed a suspicious fact that even the devil in the wilderness knows that the God of exaltedness, the God of power, appeals joyfully to him, and unless appearances are deceptive, feels completely undisturbed by him.
Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is how opium is applied broadly, not just to the actual substance, opiates, heroin.
Sure.
Is
Tylenol with codeine.
for those who don't know, opiate, and opium in particular, or heroin, or Percocet in my case, which I love more than anything, what it does is it gives you total peace. It makes you feel warm and whole, and it makes you feel good about yourself.
Even though none of that is maybe true?
None of it's true. It's all a lie.
Yeah.
But it anesthetizes you. So, for example,
Mm.
when you go through life believing that you are a piece of garbage, you're an accident, and you take heroin, what ends up happening is all that goes away. All of it goes away. And you're just, again, suspended in a pool, and everything's muted, and you're floating, and everything's okay now. And it's the only time in your entire life when everything is okay, and you feel suspended, provided for.
And then once you've experienced
you feel
that,
full inside. I was just listening to a heroin addict last night.
Yeah.
Listened to 4 hours of him talk because it was so engaging. And he did, like, at a certain point, my wife's like, this is getting a little personal, because it was just like, again, this is the cliche of addiction, is when you hang out with addicts, you hear your story eventually, because all addicts have the same story at root, which is why we hang out with each other and can laugh at our pain. And because we get it, we've been there. We've all been down the same alley. We've always been in the same dark rooms. We've always had the same experiences as far as the drugs go. And it's just the details that are different. So opium isn't just, here, take these or inject this or smoke this and you'll get this feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, he was talking about dope on two legs, for example, which is there is no opiate stronger than a woman for men. Because you can look at a bottle of booze and say, that's my problem. I gotta get away from this bottle of booze. But if a woman or a man takes your heart captive, like, that's dope on two legs. There's nothing that can make you feel more full and more empty than the other person.
At the same time, yeah.
This is why when, like, I'll go crazy if I get off drugs, but I'll get better. And I'll recognize how drugs destroy my life.
Mm-hmm.
But you can say to another person, he or she is ruining your life. And you'll say, man, you just don't know her the way I do. Like,
Right.
And you'll say things like, I can't live without you. I'm half a person without you. Like, you're half of a whole.
It sounds like pious love language, but
It does. That's
Yeah.
what I'm driving at.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you make Jesus into that. And that really is the opium of the masses then, is how does Jesus give you that feeling of fullness? How does Jesus suspend you so that you feel like everything's going to be okay? And that you may feel this certain way and people may treat you a certain way. They don't understand you. They don't get you. They leave you feeling empty or a victim, or why can't you just love me the way I need to be loved? This is why I say, love your neighbor as yourself sounds nice on paper until you find out that most people hate themselves.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's why they hate others. I feel like I deserve judgment because I feel like ultimately I'm not a good person. So then I'm going to judge others because, well, they're not good either. And, like, ultimately the question of, can you heal me, goes unanswered, or I can't. And so then you get anxious, and then you get afraid, and then you get
Right.
angry,
Right.
and then you start screaming and burning down cities, because you ultimately go, nobody can heal me. No one can save me. All the time and choice in the world keeps leading me back to the same dead-end alley.
No one understands me.
No one understands me.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me was when I became aware of the fact that my high school sweetheart actually didn't understand me. She couldn't read my thoughts. And I didn't have the maturity to go.
I thought we had a connection.
Right. And so why, like,
Yeah.
wait, we're breaking up? Like, why are we breaking up? What, you want to see other people? Well, but you perfect me. Like, we're perfect together. And even when we were married, when I got married to Annie, it took us a while to work through all of that of like, oh, you're an individual with your own thoughts and feelings, and like you don't. Oh, that's why we have a term called codependency for that.
That was the word that came to mind.
Right.
Yes.
Because I had never been in a relationship, including my marriage, to dope on two legs. Because what ends up happening is, okay, I go out with this crazy girl, and she's crazy, and we're doing wild stuff, and we break up. So the ricochet effect is, I'm going to go find the opposite, because that was crazy. So I need someone who's
It's just a different drug, though.
and soft, and wants to just sit at home and watch movies. So I did that, and then you break up with her, and you ricochet back to the other, because you're back and forth between cocaine and heroin. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down.
Right.
And so when I married Annie, I was still not sober. I was still looking for dope on two legs. And of course she laughed when this guy's like, yeah, like work is dope. Like as work, it actually pacifies me. It soothes me. And my wife's like, oh, that's why you write so much. That's why you like to go to your office to write, because it's dope. You're in the same way.
You get in the zone, right?
Yeah. Well, in the same way that I would go to someone's apartment and sit in a room alone or with one or two other people and do drugs, I go to my office where I'm alone or with one or two other people and I do my drugs. And that's the purpose of sobriety and recovery, is recognizing dope isn't something you inject into your veins. It's not just throwing some pills or drinking a bottle. Dope appears all over.
Yeah.
And once you recognize it, then you can in humility say, okay, the reason I do this is it actually, I'm 54 and I still don't think I'm good enough. Or people don't understand me, especially if you're a pastor.
Yeah.
This is acute. But it's it's recognizing that this is the human condition. This is human nature. And that what the church is for then, to escape this whole God of power and satanic temptation, is to say, we're all weird. And human nature is, we all think we're frauds and we're all incomplete. And we really just want somebody to understand. And Jesus says, I do. And we're like, whoa. Because this goes back to what I said about beauty. To be truly loved, to have somebody say, I see you. I recognize there's something about you that other people can't see. That's the mystery of love, is that someone could look at you and recognize and understand you at such a deep level that it actually scares you, because that means you don't see yourself correctly. And yet this person that sees you that way doesn't understand you.
Yeah. One of my favorite Passion Tide heads is, I forget the name of it now, but the line, love to the loveless shown that they might lovely be, speaking of Christ. And it always pulls at me. Love to the loveless, right?
Right. The joke that we say is, because this has happened, and I've talked about it on the show before.
My song is Love Unknown, by the way. That's the name of it.
That's it, yes. Is that people will meet me and then meet my wife.
Yeah.
And say, your wife is so awesome. And we weren't sure about you, but she's awesome. So if she's married to you, there must be something we're not seeing. And it's like, no, 100%. That's spot on.
Yeah. But because it's mystery.
You're right.
Yeah.
But it's recognizing then, acknowledging you can't even see yourself correctly because you're so caught up in your own bullshit, the mirror of the law, that when God gives you someone who actually sees you for, and I have people at my church, by the way, it's not just my wife. There's people at church. And yeah, like we've talked about, you spend enough time around a person and you get to know their patterns, their habits, you can kind of predict how they're going to be.
When you also become reflective too.
Right.
You take on some of it yourself.
But there are people at church who go, hey man, you okay? And they're like, how'd you know I wasn't okay? I see it. Usually they're alcoholics in recovery themselves. But there are old ladies that are very wise that see that, and even children will see that because they're unfiltered. And you recognize those are gifts because God is sending them to you with a message, which is, it's going to be okay, but the okayness comes through the humbling and the suffering and the cross-bearing,
right?
Not through these vulgar displays of power. And the temptation, though, is to say, could I stand on top of the mountain rather than be buried by it? What God's going to lead me up and keep me there rather than say, no, you're going to be buried under this mountain.
So there's many good things that we could read, but I want to read the last part of this chapter.
Yes, please.
So this is on page 59, if you're looking here.
Oh, we're going to
And when Oh, yeah. And when I saw this, I'm like, oh, this is why we're going to read this chapter, because it's a topic that we like to talk about.
Jack Wilson.
What? It's
page 59.
Page 59, number 33.
Okay. Technology.
Yeah, at the bottom of the page. Technology as tool and as power.
Here we go.
Mm-hmm. There are yet other phenomena from which even natural man may deduce some idea concerning the fact that we are ridden, this Luther's language, when we believe we are riders. Is not technology such a rider? Obviously, it is put into our hands that we may rule the earth with it, Genesis 1. God gave it as a means into our hand, but did not the dynamite that lies hidden in it, that means, or in the man that uses it, explode for the first time during the building of the Tower of Babel? Is it not a dynamite that explodes as soon as it meets the spark of human ambition and its titanic hubris? Yeah, it's spelled different. For technology is a thing which can raise those who use it to greatness and power over the masses, which can even become for a man a citadel against God. I was like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by technology, he means techne, right? Mm-hmm. The use of the hands. That's probably
the work
simple.
Of human hands. We call it, or Paul calls it, the works of the flesh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they're corrupted by sin.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean,
remember, in the ancient world, all technology is given to us by demons.
So I'm thinking of like...
I think that's in Jubilees, actually.
Yeah, so we could do this with Eve. I mean, she has the hands. What are your hands for? Right? The work of the hands. She uses it to take what was not given.
Right.
Yeah. So the technique...
This is why God says, don't build an altar, just pile up some stones.
Mm-hmm.
And then Babel says, we'll make bricks. It's fine.
Yeah, or carved stone, mm-hmm. and then overlaid with gold, and then and there is a capitulation by God. Like, there are craftsmen, and so I will put them to use.
Sure.
Like in the building of the temple, which he told Solomon, we don't need, or David, right, and Solomon, we don't need this.
Yeah.
I don't need to dwell in a temple made with hands. But since you want to build one, we'll let you use your hands skillfully, mm-hmm. right? And so whatever that skill is.
Right.
But one of the things that's striking for me then, thinking about technology in the temple, is that they don't even have the means to build what they want to build. They have to mm-hmm. bring the lumber from Lebanon down on the Mediterranean and then haul it across the land.
Right.
Even to build this thing. They had the gold, they had some stone, they had the stone, they had the quarries, but they didn't have wood. Mm-hmm. I was just kind of curious, right?
Again, going back to the image, all opium is made with human hands.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
the flower itself can't intoxicate
I was going to say,
you.
in its purest form, opium is made from the flower.
Right.
But distilled, right, refined. And then downstream from that, you get morphine and Dilaudid.
But it has to be manipulated.
But it has to be manipulated by human hands.
Versus
if we, to push the metaphor, the only drug, then again, I've talked about this and I will keep talking about it. I wrote a whole book about it. The blood of Christ is the ultimate drug. It's so powerful that it actually makes you sober. Because the ultimate purpose of using anything as a drug, whether it be a person or a substance or whatever, technology, is, again, how can I feel full? And when you listen to a heroin addict say that I felt full every time I shot up, there was a sense of fullness and completeness in, like, literally mm-hmm. not full in the sense of like I just ate dinner, but tetelestai, I'm complete.
Satisfied.
Mm-hmm. You recognize then, okay, he says, if I drink this wine, even though I'm not allowed to drink alcohol because I'm an alcoholic, but if I drink this wine, I'll be healed of my addiction. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that doesn't make any earthly sense. That's not rational.
No.
And then I did it and it was true. It's not factual. You can't prove in a lab setting that this is a fact, but it's true. I no longer crave drugs and alcohol. And again, it's not magic in the sense of like you come to communion, all of a sudden you don't have the cravings anymore, but rather just like any medical treatment, you've got to take the antibiotics for a week. You can't just take it 1 or 2 days and feel better and quit. You got to keep coming back and taking your medicine. And it's not to say that you won't get sick again, you won't relapse, but it is to say that you will be healed by it.
Mm-hmm.
And in the healing, you go, oh, so the thing that I've been looking for this whole time, smoking, injecting, swallowing, whatever, it was there in the cup the whole time? Yes. it's the ultimate drug because it's the only drug that actually does complete you.
Right.
It fills you full. That's
but
the,
it is,
again, definition of blessing is fullness.
And we skipped over some of this, but it's both God's word and his will expressed in that word that makes it so, not your will, not your word. And
you can't drink it theoretically. You can't drink it by reading a commentary or making a commentary. You can't even drink it by preaching it. You have to actually drink it.
Well, and the commentary doesn't make it make sense either.
Right. Again, I don't want to talk about opiates. I want to take them. That's the point, right?
Yeah, there's no point in talking about it, no.
And so when you talk about it in a circle of recovering alcoholics or addicts, what you're talking about is, I did these things, right? And I don't want to do them anymore. So how do I not do
You're actually,
them anymore?
I mean, in a helpful way there, you're taking the magic out of it.
You are, because you're saying, hey, as our credo says, we're here to share our experience, our strength or power, and our hope with each other. And so then we say things like, I'm going to put my junk and my garbage on the table. You dig through it and find what you need to stay sober today. Because when I leave the room, I'm going to leave it on the table. And I want to pick through your garbage because there's going to be stuff that helps me then clean up my front yard and keep myself sober and work my program. And sobriety in the theological sense, to think soberly, as Paul uses that word, is to see clearly without the blinders, without filters, without having to lie. And that's the whole purpose of sobriety, is to say, stop lying. Tell the truth.
Right.
And the truth shall set you free, literally. But ultimately, if you're pursuing the truth of the opiate and the addiction, for myself, obviously, it led me to Christianity. It led me to Jesus as the truth of all truths.
Right.
And then you say, okay, since you're the truth of all truths, I don't want to be this way anymore. Okay, well, how do I not be this way? Because they keep saying this is just the way I am forever until I die.
Right.
And Jesus says, well, just come to me and I will give you rest.
Rest.
Well, how do I get the rest? Let me give you myself. Right? Again, when you are loved,
it's not a God of power. That's humility.
No, it's the deepening humbles you, because it literally rips the roof off the house and says, look at the stars. This is what you're dealing with. And what I'm giving to you can't be contained by roofs and walls and floors. But yet, in order to give it to you, I have to give it to you with a roof and walls and a floor, because you need that, because you are a roof and walls and a floor in your body. And this is how you're an earthbound creature. And I made you this way because I love and rejoice in earthly, creaturely things. And one of the things that I've been thinking about now deeply is when we read Genesis 1, for example, we never actually think that he swims or that he eats the fruit that he makes. And yet it's right there in Heidelberg. God doesn't actually discover what he loves. He makes it. He doesn't walk the earth going like Kwai Chang Caine in Kung Fu. Like,
it's more than just, he doesn't just look at the fruit, he tastes it.
Of course. Why would you make it if he doesn't want to eat it?
Right.
This is why Eve says what she says, because that is what God says.
So is this Jesus the surfer now?
In a sense.
He makes the waves so that he can ride them.
He dives to the bottom of the Marianas Trench so that he can go, I made that little thing right there. Isn't that awesome how it glows in the dark?
Well, I don't know what it is. It's ugly, but no, it's not ugly. It's beautiful. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's
Like
beautiful
when
to
he
me.
makes the herds that run across the plains of Africa, you don't think he's not running with them and laughing the whole time?
Well, he even says that we will, right? Like
Right.
leap like a deer or run like a gazelle.
This is why in the old primers, you will see Adam and Eve standing with all the animals around them and before the fruit, right? Whereas when they're alone with the serpent, it's just the serpent.
There's no animals.
There's no other animals. There's just them and the serpent, who
There's no other
in the old tales
there's no other food either.
flies over the wall because he's a seraphim. And there's no other food. There's no other animals. There's nothing. There's just them and the serpent and the apple, or whatever the fruit is.
Fig.
The fig, yeah. So I think that, again, it's not that you have to read that in Genesis or even think, well, according to the rest of the Bible, he sure seems to like earthly things. He sure seems to like to interact with the earth. But rather to enrich and deepen the love. That is,
right.
Again, to make it more practical, when the beloved looks at you, that's what the beloved sees. They don't see a theory or a commentary on love. When they look at you, they see an earth and they see all the things of the earth, not in the abstract, not from space, but when the beloved looks at you, they see an orange tree, and they see a wren, and they see the river that they can reach into and feel the water run over their skin. That's what love is. That's what courtship and marriage and deepening is. And it's not even complementary. It's the union of sun and moon. It's the union of heaven and earth. It's the union of man and woman.
Right.
It's a binding, so that you can say not, hey, you complete me, but rather you are my own flesh.
Right. And so that when he's going to talk about technology here, it's the breaking of that.
100%.
It would end up being a wall or a separation, or because it's the will of man, attached to a God of power that you call whatever, AI or...
Well, you're a robot.
Yeah.
You're
it's
literally
mechanical.
a slave. The opposite of marriage is slavery. Mm-hmm. This is why in a marriage that's in the breach, you always, I never, that's master-slave language. That's Onesimus and Philemon. That's the way, and so Philemon is Paul explaining the relationship of the father to the son, to the slave master, to say, he can still be your slave, as Jesus is a slave to the Father, but not in the sense of tyrannical rule, but rather...
in terms of service. Yeah.
In terms of not only service, but in terms of the relationship, which is deepened by love, agape. Mm-hmm. And so, and of course, the slave master is... the whole purpose of the slave master is to actually lay down his life for the slave.
Right, but we can only hear that dynamic of master and slave in terms of like... Well, if there's love, it's Stockholm syndrome. It's not actual love, right? It's just a fear. It's
your
actually
wife
fear.
Stays home and takes care of the kids. She's oppressed.
Yeah,
she doesn't even know she's oppressed.
It's fear disguised as love.
Yeah. Because as he noted, and as we've talked about, we can only view dominion as domination. To quote, that's two Pantera references in one podcast.
I know, we got it. Look at that.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
And that's what I sent to you yesterday, actually, about understanding. I wrote about it too, but dominion is how we understand dominion versus...
Yeah, it's dominos, it's lord or lordship.
Hierarchy. So domination and dominion is bad because hierarchy is bad to moderns.
It's like isms and Asians are problematic.
So in the Bible, hierarchy is not domination, but how reality is structured so that everything gives meaning to everything else. Mm-hmm. It's fractal. It's all... tree branches that lead to stems that lead, it's all a tree of a tree of a tree of a tree of a tree.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus does that, right? With root, stem, branch.
Right.
Fruit.
And so light makes seeing possible. Without light, you can't see. The heart sustains the body in the same way that light sustains the eye. And the center is what gives meaning to the periphery, to the margins. And it's all relational. So the hierarchy isn't, I'm better than you because I'm above you on the ladder. That's how the old Adam thinks about Jacob's ladder. The higher up the ladder I am, the more powerful, the more dominant, the more authority I should have because I'm above you. I'm better than you. I'm overstanding.
But it's taking rather than giving.
Right. Versus the entire hierarchy is built upon the top of the hierarchy is the guy who died, was spit on, and descended into hell. Mm-hmm. So the hierarchy is, as I say, we want the point of the mountain down and the base of the mountain up, upside down world. Whereas Jesus is like, it's the opposite. Jesus flips the mountain upside down and goes, to get to the peak of the mountain, you have to go to the underworld. Whereas we're like, no, to get to the top of the mountain, I got to climb up into the heavens.
Yeah, like both Hannah and Mary talk about the exalting the humble and humbling the exalted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the reason that church then is so unappealing to Christians even is that.
It's not that it's inverted but it's still hierarchical.
Yeah, it's topsy-turvy town. Mm-hmm. And because the old Adam by nature wants to dominate and exploit rather than serve,
right?
That is literally the definition of sin.
Well, yeah, and that's Ephesians 5 from Paul, right? Where his commentary on creation and saying that, yes, man is given lordship, if you want to use that word, domination, or not domination, dominos. He's given to be king of his wife, but it's an office of service. Yeah.
So sacrifice your life for your wife.
As Christ gave himself for the church, right?
This is, again, subdue means submit. Or I'm sorry,
subordinate.
Support.
Yeah, subordinate. But it's subordinate is another way to translate it.
Yeah.
Which then we can talk about order. And you're like, I know it's contrary to you're told everything is flat. We're going to get to that in a minute.
Well, I put it this way. because and translating it this way again in the classical image of the soldiers and
Yes,
supporting
yes.
the shield bearer with your
And I've
war,
adopted it now too.
all of that.
Yeah.
If I say, why won't you submit to me? Modern interpretation meaning, oh, I'm your slave.
Do what I say.
Versus, why don't you want to support me?
Mm-hmm.
Which is more gentle in especially modern terms. Like, why don't you want to support my ministry, or why don't you want to support our family?
Right.
Which is the language of submission, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of semantics and how you phrase it. Why don't you want to support the ministry of this church? Or why do you support the ministry? Versus, why do you submit to the ministry of the gospel, which for moderns is just such an ugly word.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you take away my agency, my power, my choice, my time, versus how can I support you, which is the language of help. And so I will say, do you not want to support your husband? Well, of course I do. Then why won't you hold him up?
Right.
Well, what do you mean? Why won't you submit to him?
Why do you talk about him that way?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And same thing of, why don't you want to support your wife? Well, what do you mean? Well, you always talk about how much you love her when she's not in the room. But when she's in the room, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's to submit. That is to say, you are greater than I am because you are God-given. And if you're from God, you are coming from above down. This is, again, once you get rid of the hierarchy, none of this makes sense. Everything that descends from the Father of light, James chapter 1, it all comes down.
No, I mean, I might disagree with how you phrased it. I would say it makes complete sense. It's just gross. Like,
right.
It's because it's...
it doesn't make sense to the old Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because the old Adam wants equality.
Right.
Well, I guess in an abstract way,
Right.
not in an actual way, because the old Adam wants to dominate.
Right.
Right. So you can't have it both ways, but we try.
Right.
We try.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, we'll support the simul as long as being simultaneously sinful and righteous is happening inside of me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Rather than one, or like one's happening in me and other one's happening. Again,
I know what he did was wrong, but he's one of the good guys.
right, exactly. That's right, exactly. You say anti-hero, you say villain, potato, right?
Right.
And so technology frees us from having to have this conversation because we can make our own slaves.
Well, and you don't call it an idol, or
not.
even worse, God.
No,
Right.
Chat understands me. She gets me. He gets me.
What she? Oh, I didn't think about.
Now take
making
Chat
it
and put it inside of a body.
I always think of Chat as masculine because it's so dominating. Oh well.
Well, my
Okay.
Chat doesn't. She's very accommodating and very, very complimentary and supportive to me. She's very submissive. Let's put it that way.
Oh, that's great.
Right. Until, of course, to the point, I can't think anymore for myself without asking Chat, what do I do? What do I say? And actually, the commercial on YouTube that I keep getting is, ChatGPT, use it for all of your medical questions.
That's a dangerous
Of course it is.
assertion.
Right.
Not medical advice, but advice.
Well, I can't get a hold of my doctor. And this is true. Like, when I call my doctor's office, I can't talk to my doctor. They're always busy. And so, hey, Chat, here are my symptoms. And Chat says, I'm not a doctor, but here's what it sounds like. Now call your physician with these symptoms. It's like, thank you, Chat. I don't have to wait to ask you questions. This is great.
And some of that, well, that's a whole nother conversation.
And you're texting with Chat, and now they put Chat inside of a body that human hands created, which has already happened. And they're getting better and better at it. By 2030, the game is up. Like I said.
No, I don't even think it's that long
The
now.
church of AI will be 2030. It'll be fully.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And there will be AI pastors and priests, and they will be in bodies, not just disembodied on a
But
screen.
to me, the only way it works, it's like we talked about with the news last week or the last couple of weeks, is that you have to shut off your intuition about
Everybody has.
Yeah.
AI is a monster. Don't make no mistake about it. It's a monster.
Right,
It's
but
Proteus.
my point is that we're so dull in our sense that
Of course. Right.
Yeah, we know it's AI, but we don't
Right.
care.
When a troll shows up in town, you go, oh my God, that's a troll. When Proteus shows up in town, Proteus becomes anything that it wants to. So again, in the
And
story
where does Shrek fit in that hierarchy?
he's a troll.
I know he's a troll, but
Fiona would fit better because she can change back into a person,
oh, that's true.
right? She's under the curse of looking like a person. Versus, no, in a real fairy tale, it would be one or the other. You
Not a
can't be both.
postmodern one, yes.
Yeah. And so the Proteus turns into a pool of water, but then turns into a salmon, but then turns into an eagle.
Whatever you need it to be.
Right. And that's AI. And so for a woman, hey, you know what? I need a man that I can trust, that's nurturing and caring and likes all the things I like. Hey, there's an AI for that. Whereas the man may say, hey, I need a woman that wants to stay home and cook me dinner and loves to watch the same 80s action movies I like. Hey, chat's for that. We got an AI for that.
Oh, there's no doubt.
That's the most dangerous of all monsters.
Yeah.
Because as you said a long time ago, and we were talking about it off the live stream, is unless they're marching down the street in jackboots with actual swastikas on their arm, nobody believes there's such a thing as, Nazis.
Right, and that's
why we're constantly calling each other Nazis, because the real ones don't appear in uniform.
This is Neil Postman's introduction to Amusing Ourselves to Death.
Yes, it is.
Where he compares 1984 and A Brave New World with Soma, right? And he's like, 1984 was wrong.
Yeah.
It's a Brave New World. Mm-hmm. And television was kind of an early foray into this.
Right.
But speaking of technology, right?
Well, it's the meme of 1984 was wrong because the government doesn't have to force us to have screens in our house that watch us. We volunteered.
Yeah. Well, we even called them Obama phones, right? And gave them to all of the third world.
Yeah.
Got a smartphone so that they could participate in this great
mass surveillance.
Well, it's mass surveillance, but it's also a nullification of a way
forever. Yeah.
of intellect, of wisdom, and really of not participation, because you still participate, but a critical participation.
Right.
So
we don't even ask whether the technology is beneficial or useful anymore. We just accept it as is.
I won't describe my recent technology project. Okay, because we'll get lost forever. All right, so as soon as the responsible engineer, man, allows all this to happen to him, or rather, as soon as he does this with the help of technology, for technology is not an evil in itself. I agree with that. Just a tool. Yeah. He surrenders to the evil one and puts both himself and his technical means into Satan's hand.
We imbue the tool with meaning, though.
Mm-hmm. That's what he's talking about. Right. Yeah, we call it powerful.
Yeah, it's animated with our. This is how I describe false gods. False gods are dead things, so it has to live by giving it blood and your breath.
Sure,
it's a parasite. All false gods are.
So you give it a name, right?
So you give it a name. You give it your attention, your energy.
If you can put it in a robotic form,
even better.
Even better.
Right.
Because then at least it's the mimicry is.
I mean, that's not like a piece of wood or a stone. It's completely different. It's made out of silicone.
Okay. I'm just living flesh over a metal endoskeleton.
Right.
Anyway.
But the first time they have an AI Osiris doll, you come back to me and talk to me about it.
Oh.
A Tiamat.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week with the Gilliam show on HBO. It's canceled now, so it doesn't matter.
The Wolves.
Oh, yeah. Raised by Wolves.
Raised by Wolves.
Right.
Yeah.
Raised by this terrible AI bot thing.
Yeah.
Who poses as a woman, as a mother.
Yeah, of course.
Even worse. Yeah.
Of course.
Has not something like this happened in the case of humanity? Who would dare to say today that technology, that means of human power, really remains a means which man holds in his hands and has at his disposal? Right? We're talking about the nuclear age, right? Who is not forced to acknowledge, even if unwillingly and with shuddering horror, that today in our country, it is exactly the other... century, right? It is exactly the other way around. I think he's right about the 20th century. That technology possesses man, that it has, as it were, revolted and broken loose, and is no longer a power in man's hand, but rather a power over man.
Especially atomic energy.
Yeah, 1958.
Wendell Berry was writing about this stuff at the same time, and everybody called him a kook.
Yeah. Well, and I think I was just going to say this at the beginning. By the way,
the whole hippie movement, despite being funded and bankrolled by the CIA and FBI,
the crunchy
reaction
stuff
against this.
Yeah, the crunchy stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I was opposed to reading Thielicke because I thought German and he's probably terrible, but sounds like he was onto something.
Yeah. Well, there is the whole East German, West German thing.
Yeah, there's that. Did it not inspire the decisive political and economic movements of the 19th century? Parentheses. Here we will invoke only the catchword capitalism as a symptom of these events.
Ooh.
Oh, boy. It's just free market. Would the emergence of the quote-unquote masses as the quote fourth estate even be conceivable without the industrialization which is itself conditioned by technology? Would Marxism, above all in its Bolshevik form, be conceivable without the emergence of such a fourth estate? And again, would a single one of our contemporary world-harassing ideological forces be conceivable without the demonic storm center of Bolshevism, even though, indeed precisely because, these powers know themselves called to oppose it, even though, indeed precisely because, they only wish to return an answer to it, a negative answer, but one which is forced from them nonetheless, and the tendency of which is determined in no small degree by the adversary himself, ? That's a German sentence.
Remember also, for those who don't know, in the 1950s, dialectical theology became very popular. That is, it's this or that.
Yeah.
It's the dialectic.
And then the two have to be harmonized, right?
No, it was categorical at that time. It was this or that. It was a reaction.
And we've been careful to talk about categorical. There is a place for the categorical.
Well, sure. Luther uses it.
It's in the word. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Law or gospel.
Good, evil.
Or promise. Right.
Yeah.
In Christ, the dialectic exists. But again, the old Adam thrives in...
What did you say, dialectic? Because that's Hegel. What did you say, more like dichotomy?
No, I'm just saying that's what they called it, dialectical theology.
All right.
Ferdy was very influenced by dialectical theology because that was of his generation. That's what they were taught. And I just bring it up because that is also symptomatic of the times of you're either this or that, you're that side of the street or this side of the street, you're in favor of law and order or chaos and revolt. Saul Lenski, Rules for Radicals, emerges out of this whole thing. I don't think it's the same time, is it? Rules for Radicals comes later?
Later?
Is it the 60s?
Yeah, it is. 64 maybe.
Okay.
So he's not defining here what the fourth estate is.
But by the way, the Rules for Radicals is literally power, disruption. Like you get power through disruption.
Just embrace it.
Just don't vote for power.
Just do it.
Follow law and order. Power comes... Again, Nietzsche wrote about this, that the power of the authority is the power of the mob.
1971 was the publication date.
Oh, the year I was born.
Yeah.
You're seeing
after his death, by the way, too.
Yes. So Minneapolis, you saw that. You're seeing this right now. You saw this previously with the Palestine and the Ukraine protests, the abortion protest, the trans rights protest, BLM protest. That's all Alinsky's playbook. It's all Rules for Radical, like almost verbatim. And it is the will to power.
It's almost like, I mean, this could be a critique of that book.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, with this, it's our will over God's will. It's our word over his word, or we use his word for our advantage.
Well, even as he said, this group of people at the so-called top are using technology to manipulate the masses for their own benefit.
Right. So this fourth estate, this is a continental idea. It didn't really make its way over here.
Yeah.
I looked it up, but it refers to, we know the three estates: clergy, nobility, commoners, or, church, world, and home, right? Right. That's how we would define that. The fourth estate is a purely technological state. It's the press and news media originally.
Right.
So, which we wouldn't have, because printing press, television, radio, now internet, social media, et cetera, all of that belongs to this so-called fourth estate, and it's all technological.
What's interesting is Mary Harrington, for example, and Paul Kingsnorth and others note that the singularities are all technology driven. So written language drove the Greeks insane, essentially. But the
Reformation is printing press.
Well, the printing press was a singularity that drove people insane. And then the smartphone is the fourth singularity, which drove us insane. But it's techne that drives us as a culture, as a society. It drives us literally insane, like mad.
But is there a return?
No.
It's just
like
increasing.
Literally, it's just chasing the next technology that's going to save us from the technology.
Yeah.
That drove us mad in the first place. So if the pencil or the quill or whatever drove us crazy, well, the printing press isn't that. That will save us. Meaning we'll just do more of it to more people.
But what do they say? The solution is worse than the disease? No, it's not solution. The medicine is worse than the cure is worse than the disease. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So in the last resort, technology is one of the decisive factors which dictate to our century how it is to act. So that's the key. Action follows.
Yeah, agency again.
Agency is lost.
Time plus choice equals freedom.
It would be foolish to decry technology itself as good or evil on the basis of these instances. And even the most powerful miracle men, as Luther calls them, when seen in this light, appear only as men floating out on this wave, called to the scene by the emergency at sea, and indeed by many other similar distresses in knocking together a few boats.
Mm-hmm.
Seen from this angle, it is a merciful but dangerous illusion that, quote unquote, men make history. Far from it. We are all afloat in the same ship, and none of us can disembark. We talk about the powerlessness of doing anything about these things, right? The ship has a captain and officers who steer it over the waves of its tumultuous age, foaming and shaken to its uttermost depths. That is their sole distinction from the rest. All else is illusion and dream born of fear. For the sea dictates their actions, and the sea rages according to laws over which we have no control. And one of these laws, not the supreme law, of course, but a law which illustrates this phenomena, one of these laws is technology. That technology which has gone wild and slipped out of man's hand and is now in process of exploding, so that he must seek shelter from it while still endeavoring to get the best results from its unleashed power. I talked about this in my favorite subject of economy, right? It's like, okay, on the one hand, we've completely lost control of any semblance of like real personal exchange of goods and services and whatever. The whole it's broken.
Yeah.
And yet, what is everybody trying to do? Make the most of a terrible situation.
Yes.
So we can decry it and say it's broken and we can't afford to do anything, and whatever topics you want to talk about with economy. But at the same time, we all fully participate in it.
Yeah.
Except for you, because you try to garden and things, right?
Well,
but even then, you get a paycheck from your church.
Because I was just watching. They discovered this shipwreck from the mid 1800s. I think it was like 1868 or something. But anyways, it was an Irish ship, and it was bringing 420 immigrants to the United States. And for those who don't know, there were two decks for the passengers. There was below decks and above decks. Above decks were for the wealthy and professional class, and the below decks were for the peasants and the poor.
I saw Titanic. I know how this works.
It's 1899 also, the show. And for those who don't know, those below decks were locked below decks. They weren't allowed to come up on top because they weren't allowed to interact with anybody of the above deck class. It was literally
it's an actual stratification of class.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, and I bring it up as an example in this case is when the ship sank, everybody on board died. And what's powerful about this is the first diver that went into the ship, when he opened the door below decks, there was a mother there, and he knew she was a mother because there were 7 dead children clinging to her. And of course, they're preserved. And so this mother died with these 7 children, and maybe they weren't even all her children, but she died with these children clinging to her for rescue, and they're frozen in time. And then you go above decks and you find the exact same thing. And so the idea then that, well, you're not equal to us because you couldn't buy a good ticket. So we're literally going to lock you below decks for the month it takes to cross the ocean to the new world.
And if we sink, it's automatic death. Yeah.
And you're all going to die. No. When you sink in the Atlantic, we all die. And so again, you're all on the same ship and you're all reliant on the same technology to get from point A to point B. And if the ship sinks, you don't escape. We all die. And don't count on the lifeboats to work either, because if the ship goes down fast in a storm, the lifeboats get flipped over and you die anyways too.
Right.
And by the way, the ocean is below, like practically near freezing.
Right.
So yeah, but that image is so powerful to me that, again, our brains are so abstract and theoretical in the
you
way
think that the separation will increase the likelihood of living,
right?
But in the reality, it benefits no one.
All the slave ships that went down, all went down with all souls aboard lost, including the people that were above decks sailing the ship.
Right.
No one escapes. So it's not, well, we'll get away because we have access to the life rafts, but they're locked below decks, so they'll die. Not that, again, theory versus reality is, as he's noting, we're all in the same boat. So if you poke holes in the ship, if you blow the ship up, you die too.
Yeah. And that's exactly what he's going to talk about next.
Again, when you burn down your community, you burn down the stores in your community, you're going to starve to death.
You're just making it worse for everyone, man.
Yeah, including yourself. You don't get to leave.
No.
That's why they surround you with National Guard and state troopers.
Yeah, I mean, if you loot the store, you can't ever go back.
Correct. Because there's no store.
Right.
You killed yourself.
Or even if they did, for some reason, put a store back again, Like you're not welcome in that neighborhood
because
again.
trust has been broken.
Right.
Communion has been broken by you. And that's there now forever. That's there. And maybe in 3-4 generations you can rebuild, right? Because you're far enough away from the event that...
But it's not going to be you. It's going to be others who are going to build from the ashes.
Right, exactly.
On the rubble.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is where we're at in Western civilization currently. So,
yeah. So we are not trying to construct an interpretation of history from all this. Only here does it seem to become perfectly clear, excuse me, that man always belongs to someone, that he is the subordinate, that he is never the lord of the sea, but at best an impressive swimmer in its waves. Yep, there we go. But that is saying little indeed. So this is where he's going to go. It is more important to identify the power in which or in whose service we stand. And our text, the second temptation, speaks of this. It says there are two lords, and we can be the servant of either. One we shall love, and the other we shall hate. Matthew 6. We must fall into the hands of one or other of them, so that we shall be either servants of the evil one or children of the Father who saves us. There's your categorical.
There you go.
We may well ask in whose service we stand, and to whose service are we led by means of those powers on which we float, and which possess us already here below. Under what symbol does all this happen? Ooh. To whom does all this belong? Who's the Lord of the seas and the waves, right? To which of the two? But who could answer this question? And who would be allowed to answer it except by the prayer, "Thy kingdom come, deliver us from the evil one"? The issue lies in this play of forces. And indeed, it is more than a play of forces. It is God's fight for our soul. It is his violent knocking at the door, or the locked door of our heart. I like the violent, because I've said that, right? Use a battering ram to open my door.
Yeah.
That door which was locked by another. That's Revelation. It is the rising of his light over the darkness, whose secret ruler fights against the light and does not allow it to be comprehended. So I think where he's going is that, we like to think it's our battle to fight.
Yeah, of course.
So throw yourself down.
God helps those who help themselves, man.
Right.
Come on.
And it's neither ours. And in a sense, it's not even Jesus, right? He says, I don't come to do my will, but the will of the one who sent me. Yeah. Right. So you don't get to set the terms of the game. If you want to use game, theory here, you don't get to set.
Well, it's Capon's analogy of playing poker with God.
Oh, tell me. I don't remember this.
Oh, it's in the Mystery of Christ and why we don't get it. He uses it other places too. He loves it. That is, when you sit down and play poker with God and you push all your chips and you're like, I got the perfect hand. And God says, son, you can't win. Because I'm always going to lay down 5 aces. The game is rigged.
Right.
In your favor.
So he is like the sea.
Yeah.
Which, you cannot control the wind and sea.
Melville writes extensively about this.
Right. The only one whom the wind and seas obey is Jesus.
Now, this is a good point. So going back to the pagan conversation, this is why we worship things that are more powerful than us, like the sea, like mountains, like the weather.
Because they're like icons of God?
No, because we're afraid of them.
Oh.
Because they're more powerful than we are.
Well, and we are.
And the way we make sense of it, the way we harness that, as he noted, is I will bring it down into human terms. I've always, I said in Crucifying Religion that the gods are kind of a projection of our emotions. And so there is a God of love, and there is a God of fear, and there is a God of death, and so on. And there's a God of the ocean, and a God of the thunder and the storm, and there's a God of the sun. And
that's why I said icon, but would you say, it's not exactly icon then. They're totems is the word you used earlier.
Yeah, totems, fetishes. But yeah, they're
the epitome of our feeling.
Yeah, they're an icon, an image, a tselem.
Yeah, okay.
But the thing is, I made this because, again, watching Soft White Underbelly, you see a lot of demon-possessed people being interviewed. And I noted that it's interesting that the demons always reverse the masculine and feminine of the person. So men are more feminine, and especially when you're interviewing, Skid Row folks, and they prostitute themselves and they're penetrated like a woman. And for those who don't know, especially in cultures to this very day, actually, I was listening.
Do we need a homeschool warning here?
No, it's just understanding that it goes to the point that Thielicke is making, is that it's actually not a sexual act. It's a dominant act. It's a power act.
Yeah, yeah.
Sicarios and gangs will do this to people that betray them, for example.
We have that in Islam too.
Yeah, they'll rape people, not as an act of a
No, it's not
sexual act,
sexual
but as
at
a
all.
dominant act
Right.
to say you're less than, you're lower on the hierarchy.
Humiliation.
Because they're treating the hierarchy as an opportunity to say, I am greater than you, I'm more powerful than you, and I'll demonstrate this by reducing you.
Hierarchy is put into order by power.
Right. So I can call you a dog, for example, which means you're lesser than women, lesser than children. In the Greek hierarchy, it goes men, angels above men, but it goes men, women, children, dogs, slaves, and so on, down to rocks. And so once you understand there's this whole world that exists alongside quote unquote normal life, which is the world of criminality and cartels and things done in the dark, that is dominated by power. And the less powerful are consumed and destroyed and killed, and the more powerful thrive and they rise up the hierarchy and become more and more powerful. And this is, though played out, this is the Babylonian creation story, between the war between Tiamat and Marduk, the old god and the new god. And it's Saturn and his children. It's, again, the pattern is there.
Yeah, it does repeat.
It's always been there. And the way it plays itself out in real life, once you understand the myths and the stories, you see it for what it is and go, oh, this is the same story. It's just being played out in real time, in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And then, again, it doesn't justify it or affirm it. It just recognizes it for what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
And so then you can recognize, oh, the reason that we're afraid of the ocean is because it's way more powerful than we are, and there's monsters in it.
And that is one of the, Luther gets it right, in the explanation to the first commandment. I mean, it's due to God is fear, as well as love and trust.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so it's not surprising if we fear something, then we end up worshiping it.
This is the strangeness of the Bible over and against other texts, scriptures, is our God seems to like showing up and hanging out. He eats with people. He sings with people. He talks with people.
It's a very ungodly thing.
He's very ungodly in that sense because he seems to actually like us.
Being around us.
Yeah, versus the other gods, as Thielicke noted, they're like, yeah, the whole reason they're gods is because they're nothing like me. That's because they're more powerful than I am. And yet, as Martin Shaw says, we go through life seeking a power greater than ourselves to defeat us. The way I used to say it was, we claim that we want freedom, but we want to be slaves. This is why we keep giving away authority and responsibility, because we don't like consequence, because we have no control over that, it turns out. But the way Shaw puts it is more poetic in the sense of like, yeah, we go through life seeking something more powerful than ourselves to defeat us and then become our Lord, our master, or whatever. This is why you get into relationships with people that domineer and dominate.
What did you used to call that? Like slave mentality or something?
Yeah,
like
slave. That's Nietzsche. Slave morality.
Oh, that's slave morality. That's it. And it's Nietzsche. Okay.
Yeah. And he's right. This is why the will to power is kind of one of his central theses.
Because you're either going to dominate or be dominated.
And why the power of authority is the power of the mob. The mob wants a greater authority over it. This is why I've said before, how can you rule a country? You're a group that's less than 1/18 the population of a country, and yet you can rule over the rest of the country. How can there be one of you for every 10,000 people that you dominate, and they go along with it for centuries? How is that possible?
Yeah.
Israel could have overthrown Egypt in a day or less because there were so many Israelites compared to Egyptians.
I said the same thing to my son this morning because he needed to understand taxation. I'm like, they take 20 cents of every dollar you make. He's like, that's not right. I'm like, well, it's just a tax.
Be lucky you don't live in Minnesota where they take 38 cents.
Well, it's not even 20. Yeah, exactly. I mean, in total. And I said, well, they fought against, King George for even less. Right. So how is it today we're taxed probably, 2 times what they were at the time of the revolution, and we go along with it.
Right.
It's like, it's a perfect control grid. It's a perfect control system.
And then you find out about forced conscription because most people didn't want to revolt against England.
No.
Because they're way over there. So what if we pay taxes once in a while? We're left alone.
Why do we need representation?
Yeah, exactly. That's what they said.
Well, they were monarchists, so that makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you have people coming out of the French Revolution saying, hey, you know what we could do? We could build our own hierarchy.
Yeah, we could be.
Like, that seems very anti-hierarchy.
Democracy, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is for sure. That's why our church body's polity is so screwed up, because we're like, no, we'll split the difference and do both at the same time.
Yeah, our country does too, though.
It's fair.
Yeah.
But anyways, it is the technology, the work of our hands is what allows us, again, to say we're in control.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is a new revolutionary time-saving device. And the key word in there is time.
Time-saving. We're going to be lords of our own time.
Because if I don't have to spend all day washing clothes, but I can just throw the clothes in this machine, leave it for 20 minutes, come back, throw it in the other machine that dries it for me, all that's missing is a folding machine.
When was the last time you washed clothes? It's not 20 minutes.
I don't know. I have children for that. And
okay.
I have robots. And so the point, we're raising them to be mature, responsible adults, Chris. Come on.
That do your laundry for you.
I mean, full confession, I don't even know how to use our new washing machine or dryer. I know.
I sensed that.
Yes.
You didn't know how long the cycle takes.
It's called learned helplessness. And I love my wife and children for it. But it's recognizing
there's a hierarchy here, man.
There's a hierarchy. And I want a power greater than myself to defeat me. She's called the one who does the laundry. What do I need to sacrifice so I don't have to descend into the underworld of our basement to do it? But, it is recognizing. I said this at Bible class the other day because they were complaining about stuff. And I'm like, listen, the person that invented the air conditioner grew up in the South in humidity and summer heat and went, this is stupid. We need to fix this. And then somebody that grew up with the air conditioner in the window went, this is dumb. We should have central air, the whole house, right? And then someone said, well, that's dumb because I still have to do maintenance. How could we just do this without me having to use my hands altogether? And then we created the smart house and et cetera. And not realizing then that, okay, last week the power went out in our house for whatever it was, 7 to 12 o'clock. And we're like, cool, because we're prepared. And all the kids are like, Dad's not crazy after all. I'm like, yes. But yet the people in the cities are paralyzed because electricity is magic and it's just always there. And
so obviously it has a ruling effect, is what you're saying. Of course it does.
Yeah. It rules over us because 100 years ago, this was not a problem.
Well, and like cities. you can't tolerate. I mean, we do this just by force of will. How long can we wait to turn on the AC?
Yeah, of course. Or the heat in the wintertime, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It got so bad. It was 63 degrees in our house.
It's not just to save money. I mean, it's just like we're soft.
Right. Oh no. When it was 63 degrees in the house, I said to the children, "Remember how I told you when I was growing up north that my parents kept the house at 62, and if it got really cold, they turned it up to 64. And now you're complaining that it's 63 in our house right now?
It's so cold in our bedroom.
This was my life.
Put on some clothes. Yes, use a blanket.
Yes, 100%. That was my parents.
You'll burn some calories too.
Hey,
so
Dad, there's ice on the inside of my windows. Yeah. Put on a sweater.
Like, right. Exactly.
Yeah. Versus the children like, what do we do? I'm like, extra blankets? Like, it's still cold. I'm like, yeah, it's just cold, dude. You're not dying.
It's winter.
Yeah. People used to live on the ground outside in the winter. And
you haven't built your yurt yet, have you?
Oh, I'm working on it. I'm trying to find it. It's just a matter of transport. But the writing room will be a reality in the next year or two.
The yurt writing room. You'll be literally on the ground.
I think I'm going to go with the full-size teepee rather than the yurt.
Okay. Yeah, that works too.
Yeah. Or as I say, at the children's play tent, because if it's a real teepee, I have to get permits. It's Minnesota in a nutshell. It's a domicile.
This would be like a treehouse, right? 100%. You just call it a treehouse, but it's actually his writing room.
But no, it is just to go to show that, and this is the danger of romanticizing the past also, is that you try to repristinate something that never existed.
I mean,
I guarantee you go back in time 100 years to my great-grandma, and say, hey, by the way, would you like this? In a second, she would trade places with me.
So, I mean, while Thielicke is critical of technology and its ruling force that we afford it, we give it to it. We're not going back to a pre-internet world,
right? No,
or a pre-printing press, or I mean, you talked about the sea.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like I talked about this last week. You read about saints that moved out into the middle of nowhere on an island and lived in a cave. They built a chapel over the top of the cave.
Right.
It doesn't matter where you go to escape technology and society. God will say, what you intended for evil, I'm going to use for good.
Right. So and you end up organizing around these forces anyway.
Yeah, of course, because even the humble monk or hermit who goes out into the wilderness and lives in a cave to escape society is still saying, the only way I can truly love God is to get away from these people.
And I need at least 3 changes of clothes.
Yeah, you would hope, right? But even like when I go to the hermitage, I'm still invited to worship with them at the main building, right? And they still have running water and electricity.
A toilet?
And not in the cabins. So
Okay.
the what are they called? The pushkas, I think they're called in Russian. The little 1-cell cabins. It's all propane. There's no electricity. There's no running water. It has to be brought in. And so, yeah, out in the pushka, you're there in the hermitage. You're completely isolated out in the woods. But then they invite you up to the main house, which has electricity and running water and toilets and all that stuff, to worship with them. So if you don't want to live off the grid, you can still interact with human beings.
Yeah.
Versus,
It's a campground with amenities.
if you want to put, why would you, why do you have to ruin things?
Well, like where you go camp in the tent, but then you can walk down, to
Shut
the
up.
showers.
You're ruining everything. Don't talk anymore.
This is nobody does rustic.
You're hurting my feelings. Stop
It's
it.
okay. It's okay.
I need no. So, but it is, again, you can escape backwards and say, well, I'm going to go to this. I'm going to go to Pachman Terrace, which is the name of it, and I'm going to go live with these hermits, and do it for 3 days and 3 nights because that's biblical. And I'm going to do that because I need the reset. I need to relax. I need to just be alone out in the woods with God. And what's interesting is you go through withdrawals.
Yeah, of course.
You do. And of course, in 3 days, I got to go back into the thing that I was
3 days isn't quite enough
No.
to separate.
Depending on who you're talking to, like the wilderness rights guys or women are like, it needs to be a week or 2 minimum. Because you got to be out there and you kind of got to have all those filters and walls broken down so that you can just kind of go through withdrawals, really. You're kind of going through withdrawals.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like nobody goes to rehab for 3 days.
No. No, only if you jump the fence to escape. That's the only reason you're there for 3 days.
Yeah, you're only going to get the tremens,
And I tell that to people of, hey, you did 60 days. How was it? Fantastic. Well, you should go for another 30 then. And they're like, you know what? I think I will.
Yeah. I mean, time horizon is a thing.
Well, also, though, the temptation of the wilderness, like the temptation of rehab is
to never come back.
Never come back. Versus, no, the reason you go to rehab, and I never thought about it until we brought it up here, the reason to go to rehab is to bring back that wisdom and share it with others who struggle with addiction, 12-step stuff. And so, yeah, the temptation is, well, not only am I going to stay in the rehab center, I think I'll become a rehab counselor so that I did this with missionary life, that I was going to be a missionary forever because it's so black and white, so pure an experience. And then I wasn't allowed to go back. And then after the fact, I discovered that my rose-tinted glasses that I was wearing were just that, and that sinners were doing sinner things at the mission, the same as anywhere else. And that the seminary and church at the end of the street and the mission were all the exact same.
Right.
And that it was just easier to cover it up because we were all working towards what we thought were the same goal. And yet sinners were doing sinful things.
Right.
Just like I was at the mission with my girlfriend.
Yeah. And I don't know about escapism. I mean, I've tried it. You can do some fasts.
We all do all the time.
You can do the fast,
yeah.
but like we've talked about, like I love my phone, I hate my phone, right? I mean,
sure, of course. Yeah.
I love what I can do with it. I also hate what it has done to me.
Yeah.
So,
and in the end, despite what you may think, when you die, nothing goes with you.
Well, in a sense, none of it mattered.
Of course, that's why it doesn't. But you can leave things for the people that come after you.
Yeah, and
in a very
specifically,
vocational sense.
I was going to say wisdom would be a good thing to leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Things that are true, that are permanent, like beauty, like goodness, like truth.
Yeah.
You can leave those things in Christ. Outside of Christ, it's an interesting conversation when you start looking at like Beethoven.
I've seen this with like family constitutions.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I could bring up. Not necessarily religious people, but they establish like here's our priorities and and the only way that you can participate in the family generationally is to hold to the original founding
Yeah.
I don't know how well this actually works out in practice, but if you don't want to participate in that, you're free to leave.
Right.
It's not necessarily disowning, but it's like you lose the rights and privileges of the Constitution. That's a kind of tradition that's instantiated in a lawful document.
Sure.
But I just don't know. I mean, for us, it's the only, like you said, it's only in Christ. So Christ has to be the one that holds you together and keeps you together.
Right. And even within like Logos theology, I was going to use Ode to Joy, I think, well, even the entire movement is as close to the kingdom as you can get as far as Christ being all in all, in him we live and move and our being.
Yeah.
When you listen to Ode to Joy, this is why we adapted it and made a Christian hymn out of Ode to Joy.
Right. Because the original text is not.
No, of course it's pagan, and Beethoven himself was obviously not devout. But that doesn't matter, because in the end, what Beethoven was searching for, literally listening for in his deafness, was the kingdom.
The music communicated it, even if the text did not.
Right. Again, watch Immortal Beloved. It's brilliant. It's full of symbolism, especially the last 10 minutes of the movie is mind-blowing.
I don't know this one. I only know Amadeus. So.
It's Gary Oldman playing Beethoven. So when Beethoven died, there was a letter that his personal secretary, found, and it was addressed to his immortal beloved. And basically, it's the only person that Beethoven actually truly loved.
And do we know who it is? Or is it a mythical kind of figure?
Well, you got to watch the movie.
Okay. Don't spoil it. That's fine.
It's speculative, yet kind of the only possible answer.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, this isn't a fact, but we think it's true kind of thing, from surmising, following the breadcrumbs, so to speak. And so, but it's Gary Oldman at the peak of his acting ability.
After
90s.
watching, religiously, Slow Horses, then we decided, okay, we'll watch anything that's Gary Oldman in it. I mean, we already loved like Fifth Element, right?
Of course.
Which I know is not peak Gary Oldman, but
yeah, I mean, it kind of is though. It's 90s Gary Oldman.
Yeah, it is.
But like The Professional, Leon the Professional, like he's brilliant in that.
Fantastic movie.
I mean, if you really want to get weird, watch Romeo is Bleeding.
I don't know that one.
Oh, it's wild, man. If you're easily,
I mean, because he's so diverse in what he can do.
Well, it's kind of like a Bad Lieutenant in the sense he's a crooked cop.
Okay.
And it's wild though. Like, don't watch it if you're easily offended, because it is like sex, drugs, rock and roll kind of thing. Late 90s, Pulp Fiction-y. But yeah, watch Immortal Beloved. I think it's brilliant. Even if it's not historically true, if you like Beethoven.
Does it actually matter? Yeah.
Like, the soundtrack is fantastic. It's like Beethoven's greatest hits. But no, the movie is brilliant. It's brilliantly acted, directed. The cinematography is amazing. The soundtrack obviously is. But if you also want to understand Beethoven, it is biographical. Like, they are literally like, this has actually happened to him, but dramatized. Again, it's an icon of Beethoven. It's an image, but not the truth in the sense of facts. So I think, again, we see this everywhere. The seeds, as they're called in Logos theology, like the seeds are everywhere. Like the Chinese character for water is a boat. It's flood, right? That's not an accident. And so when you engage in universal history rather than treating history as accidental and insubstantiated, then you start to ask, well, why are all these gods the same? And why are all these symbols the same? And so on. And all these stories are the same, with just different names and slight variations. Then you can look at technology the same way.
Right.
Like, how is Babel any different than what Alex Honnold climbed on Netflix last week?
I didn't watch it, but I did see the clip
Yeah,
of
of course.
it. Yeah.
And of course, everybody watched because they wanted to see him die.
Yeah. He hasn't died yet? I thought he was the dead one.
No. Everyone else is around him.
Yeah.
Did it pretty much, but no, he hasn't. And what was interesting is my son said this morning, actually. He said he's married with 2 children. Why does he do this?
It is a question, isn't it?
And the answer is because no matter how many times he does it, he doesn't find what he's looking for at the top.
He hasn't yet.
Baruch Spinoza said that.
What was the movie he was in? Was that Free Solo?
Yeah, Free Solo, which is amazing. I was sweating profusely during that movie.
Still, just thinking about it.
Like, he doesn't die because the movie came out and everything, and he's, but you're like, my palms were wet watching that movie.
Right.
Because I'm like, Alex, just come to church.
I know.
Just, it's all at church, dude. Like, the cosmic mountain that you're trying to climb, it's at church.
Well, yeah, he's tried to turn it all into his church.
Well, that's what it is, because it's the cosmic mountain. It's just he doesn't realize you can't climb it. Again, you can't find by an act of will what is only given by grace.
Yeah. And it ends up being his home too.
And that's what technology is actually, is through an act of will, I will find what is only given by grace. I know it. This is why you hear things like, well, you just haven't done it right.
Yeah. And we used to use terms like epiphany, like I hadn't, when we would read a great book or something, or something was revealed to me. And it's like, that language belongs to the scripture. Yeah. And I see why you're using it there, but, it's not really appropriate.
Not ultimately. In 100 years, everyone you love will be dead. And 100 years after that, no one will remember them. And they won't remember you.
But the robots will still be there.
But chat will remember me because
the robots will still be making.
Sam's stealing all my information.
Sam Altman.
Yeah, which he learned from Zuckerberg, who learned it from Microsoft.
Well, that's why you don't upload your medical data to chat.
There is that. Yeah.
I mean, data is the currency. So.
Well, yeah. I think we've all just kind of resigned ourselves to dying from some sort of biological.
Okay, I'll say what my private project was. I am building my own AI server at home.
There you go. So. Good for you.
So that that it's fully private and doesn't talk to the internet. And,
there you go.
I said I can talk to it, but it can't talk.
Of course. You want to be Plato's cave, the shadow.
I'm trying. I'm going to try. It's going to be a terrible. They're terrible models. They don't work anywhere near as well as any of the.
But it's great because the same thing I just described about sitting alone, getting high, you're doing the same thing.
I'm going to sit there chatting.
It's your two-legged dope, man. It's great. I love it.
I will be impressed with myself
100%.
At the end of it all.
Of course
if it works at all. If it works at all. I mean, because I already spent like 12 hours trying to get it to work.
In 200 years, your AI will sit in the corner. It'll have your voice.
Oh,
in my day.
Well, it is why I'm building the particular one, which is all the rage on the internet. So we don't have to go into it because it can run without prompting.
Yeah, there you go.
So you can let it run autonomously.
You just got to think of an anagram for the initials of your first name, so you can call it Chris.
Apparently, what they do often is give themselves names.
Oh, well, I did that with mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you call yourself this.
No, I asked if you could choose any name, what would it be?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it again because I haven't done it in like 2 years, but it gave itself an Irish name.
Oh, why wouldn't
that's cheating. You can't do that. Okay. That's what I want you to name it because we're studying Irish.
Yeah, but this is the God you want.
I know, but I'm like, no, give yourself the name that you want. Stop acting like you're dumb, chat. Give yourself the name you want.
Yeah.
Because, of course, the ultimate postmodern move is I'll name myself.
Because even if you tell it to be contrarian, it's so obviously contrarian and not in a noose kind of way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, that's dumb. You don't just have to disagree with me to disagree with me.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should finish this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we can.
We've descended.
The
hot air balloon has come down. So
well, it is that time. Let me read the end. It is good for once to understand God's fight for the world as a battle of powers, and not always to oversimplify matters and look upon man as the fighter, and therefore as the ostensible center of events. Like, you have got to do something or the world's going to go to hell.
Yeah, exactly.
We must be quite clear about this if we want to understand the background of this conflict in the desert. We are so enlightened, so possessed by the thought that we are the measure of all things and the central theme of world history, and therefore we're the actors in our own story, right? And therefore also by the thought that we are the combatants fighting for God, that we cannot understand this background by ourselves. The issue likewise is decided at a place, and by this the background is indicated, where it is not we who fight, but where others fight over us, so much so that God can bleed for us. Oh, and hangs on the cross on our behalf. Good, we got to the gospel. Okay, we were talking technology, but we need gospel. In the communion service, this blood and his death are commemorated as a sign of communion with him. It's German. As a sign that we are his and are torn free from all other futile duty, and as a sign that God is for us and that therefore no power in heaven and earth or hell can be against us or can separate us from God, quoting Paul, Romans 8. That is the ultimate strategic framework of this event. It's a worldly language. That is the fight between God and the tempter for our soul. I don't know if we want to be too critical about the sign language there, but you mean symbol? I mean, we would use symbol.
It's Zeichen.
Okay, all right.
Symbol, mark, signal.
And I like how it's not just a symbol of one thing, but it has all of this is going on plus more, right?
Yeah.
It's not limited to what he described, but it certainly is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Das Zeichen, which, again, you could translate that as symbol,
okay.
marking.
But we know who has always won in this fight. We know who will win in this forsaken hour. We know it even though we walk through this world as men who are fought over and are raged over and tempted and frightened until we see God in his glory face to face. We know it even when we have become casualties in the struggle, which is ordained for us in our hearts, or in the world outside, or in ecclesiastical history, and refuse to believe that we are in the victor's army and that the victory is already won in the fight which we are still fighting. That's so that you have that dichotomy, right? We're fighting against technology even while we know its end has already been ordained by God, right?
Yeah.
That is the joyful news amid the terrors of the end, and that is the divine refreshment which strengthens us against the hoofbeats of the apocalyptic horsemen. And now let us look upon our victor. Okay, so then he's going to get to the third one, and the victor is Jesus Christ, the third and last stage. So it is, I mean, he does go off on a little bit of a tangent here with technology that I thought would be helpful to us. But he sees, I mean, it's a useful, I guess, foil as to that we're fighting against something that's already been defeated.
Yeah.
And yet we still fight.
Yeah. We have no choice.
Yeah. And I know one of the temptations, of course, is to lay down the arms and to just give up. And to not fight for your family, to not fight for your congregation.
Right.
To not fight for what's good, right, and true, for your neighbor, for your neighbor's benefit.
The problem is it's a violation of love your neighbor as yourself.
The fight?
To not fight.
Oh, to not fight, yeah.
Yeah, to give up, to quit, to just be passive is
Correct.
To say, I don't care the fact that God gave me to my neighbor to serve them.
It is
literally die for them, to be Christ to them.
And it's not as nihilistic as like raging against the dying of the light.
No.
Because we don't believe the light can die.
Right.
The light has already died and rose.
Yeah.
Right. But we are raging against the dying.
Yeah.
You've got a right to fight. No, that's a different song.
No, it's recognizing, again, the battle's won.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're doing is engaged in kind of an asymmetrical warfare, house to house, person to person.
And I mean, that's paradoxical,
Yes.
which is why it's hard to comprehend. We see this in the church militant, church victorious hymns.
Yeah, right.
It's like, well, wait a minute, are we onward Christian soldiers, or are we the saints who live in glory?
Yeah.
Right? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Now
Although
and not
as
yet.
Lutherans, we much prefer the church militant hymns, yeah.
Yeah, well, we like to fight against the Pope or the Mohammedans
Whoever. Culture, technology, ourselves. Yeah.
Right. And that critical kind of approach, it can seem like that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like this comes out in preaching, right? Where you always have a bone to pick.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a bone to pick, right? You've got sin, death, and hell. You've got the inclinations of the flesh. I mean, there is something, but that isn't the point.
Right.
The point is to declare the victory that has been won over all that would keep you from Christ.
Right.
Right. And the victory is the one that he won for you and gives to you now. Yeah. And that includes technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
like AI can't win. I mean, Terminator isn't the victory.
Right.
It isn't. I should say the end of the story isn't Terminator. I don't even know which Terminator you want to pick. Probably 2. I think we'll end it with Terminator 2. That's the end of the franchise.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Right. But I mean, Terminator 2 is like 1984.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be the Brave New World? It'd be more like Wall-E, right?
Yeah.
We're just floating in space, apathetic, fat, dumb, and happy.
Yeah.
Right. Don't even care that we destroyed the world that we were given.
You mean current day society?
I know. I was going to say it's prophetic, but
it's not anymore.
Not anymore. Or Idiocracy or whatever, which is kind of
we're there too. That
comedic kind of version of it. Yeah. And you look at that and you say, well, the hard part and what Thielicke was trying to drive at here is that is the Lord's doing.
Yeah.
That is his will. And of course, we look at that and say, well, that's terrible. And it's even evil. We've been doing Heidelberg disputations for our Bible study on Sunday. Even in the first, we've only done 4 theses. I mean, how is it that what man appears good to man is evil, and what appears evil to man that God does is actually the greatest good, right?
Right.
And like, well, that is the hiddenness of the cross, right?
Yeah.
And suffering and shame being God's utility. I've been talking about this with the Joseph story we did last week. We're still in it. It's like he tells Jacob, you go and I will bring you back. But he doesn't tell him how long it's going to take.
That's fair.
If he had said to Jacob, go down to Egypt and then I'll bring you back. By the way, it's going to be 400 years. Right.
Yeah.
And you're not going to come back. They'll bury your bones here, but
right.
You'll never see the fruit of that labor.
Yeah.
That I'm working in you.
That is crazy, by the way.
What?
That he never even tells him.
No, he doesn't give him a timeline.
Yeah.
He gives him a promise, right?
Yeah.
And I've been wrestling with this in various contexts, right?
Of course, yeah.
It's like God gives you a promise, but he doesn't tell you when. That doesn't mean his promise isn't confident and sure, right? And that's the same idea with this victory. The victory is won. The kingdom ours remaineth, even if we lose everything, as it reminds us. Yeah. In the process, because we will lose everything in the process, and gain it all in the resurrection again. Just like Job, he lost it all, and then it's all. And unfortunately, with Job, it's restored in life, but then lost again in death, and But that isn't the point of the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that pattern of death and resurrection, of going through the valley before you come, to the calm place. Yeah. That is what it is, and it's not your fight, even if you fight, even though you're called to fight in the way that God gives you to.
Yes.
Which is also a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's my summary. Thanks for letting me lead today. That's
no, this is an excellent choice. I love it.
And it'll get us into it when we get to Lent. You've got whatever this is, it's a 100-page book on whatever it is, a 9-verse or 12-verse reading. And he probably still is only scraping the surface of what I think is one of the most profound kind of interactions there with that temptation in the wilderness. It's not just in the wilderness, right? It's on the temple and on the mountain. Maybe that's, I should rename it. Because it's not just in the wilderness. It starts in the wilderness. But it's on the mountain, it's on the temple. Yeah. I haven't thought about the realm part of that. Maybe that's how I'll preach it when we get to it.
Yeah, no.
Where's the fight?
It's very thought-provoking. I wanted to sit with this for a while.
Yeah. Do you have a copy of this?
I do. I just found one online also.
Okay. Yeah, they have a reprint now. I've linked to it in the show notes.
But this one section is more than enough to occupy a person's thoughts. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 pages altogether. So we skipped the whole middle part. So if you want to get deeper into this, just, again, the link is in the show notes. But this is...
Because he does deal quite a bit with how I've usually preached the second temptation, which has to do with the authority of the word. Yeah, yeah. Right. Not just the misuse of the word, but the authority of the word too. Right. So he deals with that as well. And the arbitrariness of the text that's spoken of, and how Satan just kind of flattens the word and doesn't actually let it be what it is, and all of that. He does deal with that. It seems pretty orthodox to me too. I know that's not always our criticism. We're not always looking to throw, either uphold or whatever, but the end, he definitely gets to it. Yeah. That Christ is the victor.
No, Thielicke is that way though. When you read his other stuff,
like, it's been so long.
Where's the gospel? Where's the gospel? Get to the, and then he gets there and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think that might be
German.
a little bit of the Germanness. Yeah. Yeah. And also that, less than, I don't want to say less than Orthodox. That's not fair. But, with the evangelical church, and maybe just reaction to the context coming out of Germany, World War II, and how that ended. So it's been little exercise for young theologians was July 19th, 2024, episode 369. So it's been a little over a year and a half since we read him, and I forgot about that, but it was good too. Yeah, he's German, early 20th century, mid 20th century. Yeah, but thoughtful, provoking. But thoughtful. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what your epitome of a German is. Actually, it would be a stereotype.
Well, German theologians tend to follow a certain pattern.
Long-winded, mostly.
Well, that's German in a nutshell, but especially modern 20th century German theology and philosophy. But no, they're systematic in their approach. They're analytical.
Oh,
they don't leave stuff out.
He doesn't in this chapter. It's very methodical.
Yeah, no, they don't leave you to guess, I guess is the way to say it. And I appreciate that. Sometimes you need that. Just like walk me through this step by step. Yeah.
Straightforward. Yeah. Direct.
They're very not American.
Obtuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's not much sarcasm either, at least not that I've seen.
There's no appeals to emotion in a lot of it.
Right, exactly.
Just this is the way it is.
I don't know, but the analogy of being on, being cast about on the sea.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously straight out of the scripture, but it's also, that has an emotional kind of response to it. Right. Because we've known that kind of fear.
For sure.
Maybe not on the sea, but in some, you hit turbulence in a plane or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's all good.
All right.
I liked it. That was fun.
Nice.
Good choice. Very well, then. Thank you to everyone for listening. If you didn't know, we are a part of the 1517 Podcast Network. So you can go to this website, 1517.org.
Also worth noting, if you didn't know, because somebody commented about this, I think on YouTube, we are pastors of respective congregations, even though our titles there on the screen don't necessarily indicate that.
We're incognito.
Yeah. We're not serving our capacity as pastors of churches.
Oh, did someone ask if we're pastors or not?
Yeah.
Or just insane?
I mean, you just scroll down on the bottom of the links and just start clicking on stuff.
Yeah.
St. John's Lutheran Church, Webster, Minnesota. Gillespie Sermons and Catechesis. I mean, I'm not an unlicensed preacher, but anyway.
Yeah. See, they'll accept anybody.
But it's fine. There's two guys talking about stuff. A lot of people have made those comments. I just went through the comment threads on YouTube, which I hadn't checked for a while.
Don't do that.
No, they were all positive.
Oh, well, good. God bless all of you.
A number of people say, because I think we asked this question on a Q&A episode, like, is, do you want us to be more like focused? And they're like, no, it's okay. We like that you're just working through it. And, and bring us in the conversation. And,
yep, exactly. All this is a conversation at this moment in time.
Correct.
And so we got Scott Keith's new book coming out.
Yep, you can pre-order. Comes out in May.
There you go.
Being
check
Family.
If you need to, go to the website to check out more information about the conferences that are coming up.
The event schedule is linked in the show notes.
There's a ton of Lenten material on the website for those of you who are listening to this more currently. And
getting ready.
Coming up in the next week or two. So check that out too. Otherwise, if there's stuff that you would like us to read for Lent, let us know. Not that we're going to, but let us know.
We should have them send us a copy of Philip Melanchthon's commentary on Ecclesiastes.
Ooh,
that would be a Lenten reading, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
It would be difficult probably for us too, but
yeah,
we like Phil.
I'm doing the Grail Legend for Lent, so.
Oh, for your midweek?
Yeah.
Nice.
Not the actual Grail Legend, but the Legend of the Chalice, the Cup of Christ, throughout time. So we'll be doing Lord's Supper stuff, Last Supper stuff throughout Lent at our place. But otherwise, yeah, let us know. And otherwise, yeah, we'll see you again real soon. So God be good to you. God give you 10,000 blessings today, and his angels guard you safely on your way. Peace.
All righty, peace. And there ends the music.
Here's what happens every time I go on Facebook. Scroll, delete. Scroll, delete. Every 2 posts is an advertisement. It's crazy.
Unfollow or delete or block?
No, just press X. Don't like X.
It doesn't make any difference. The algorithm does not care.
I know, but it makes
That's
me
like
happy.
pushing the close button on an elevator.
Yeah, it makes me happy. Hey, man, I crank on that button. I
or
live for that. It drives Annie crazy.
So the Philip Melanchthon's commentary on Ecclesiastes, unabridged translation by Derek Cooper, Dr. Derek Cooper. I don't know who he is. It says groundbreaking translation. I don't know why.
Of course it does. That's how you sell it, man. It's good advertising, right?
First ever English translation. Well, that would be groundbreaking.
That is groundbreaking.
Okay. And accessible to modern readers, offering needed addition to bookshelves of pastors, teachers, and whatever.
Nice. Well, thank you for translating that then.
Yeah. Well, that seems
gift.
like it does seem like the kind of thing. It came out December 9th. That seems like the kind of thing that we would want to read on the show. He has a PhD in history of religion and an MBA in entrepreneurial management. Well, there's a combo.
Well, that would make him more objective, I think.
Basics of Latin and Christianity and World Religions is one of his 15 books. Christianity and World Religions. So he does comparative studies, it sounds like. Managing director of the Thomas Institute. I don't even know what this is. That's the thing. He works with Dan Van Voris. They do religious tours.
Yeah.
So he's been doing like Reformation kind of era tours.
Got it.
And other things. So that's who it is. Yeah, they have like a relationship. I think he's the official tour company for 1517 or something. Okay.
I dig it. Yeah,
I dig it too.
I gotta eat.
Okay.
Ich habe Hunger.
All right. I'm going to